So what we're going to do, we're going to hit back on a little bit of the right hand of Yah, which is the Messiah. A lot of doctrine out there by us teaching this thinks we're dibbling and dabbling into what's called the Trinity. But we don't use such words or be caught up in it of that language that's outside the scripture and part of a doctrine called Christianity. Let's get one thing understood. Christian, that word is mentioned in the Bible 3 times. And never mentioned in a negative connotation, because all it means is a Christ follower.
That's right.
Christianity is totally different. That's a man-made doctrine brought into the world by the Romans. Totally two different things. So y'all, we want to make that absolutely clear before we get started. Though, anybody got any other questions or concerns? Anything on your heart, mind, or soul? Anything, y'all?
Dan,
What you got, sis?
I didn't know that the book of Psalms is divided into different, like section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But degrees, what does that really mean? I kind of looked it up, but I still not getting out. Is that supposed to make our walk more closer? Is that our thoughts are supposed to be more on the Most High?
When you're saying the word degree, like almost the temperature degree.
Like the Psalms of degrees. And
Yeah, and their elevation of different levels. Hey, shalom, y'all. Of how the scripture is how you elevate, or how one becomes perfect, you know, so to speak. The degrees of is like it's multiple levels of the Psalms that get you to a higher understanding. Like Psalm 119, the longest chapter in the Bible. But it's the Hebrew alphabet. So when you look at the start of Psalm 119, they start off with Aleph, and all the way to the last character of the Hebrew in the final chapter. But each one of them are 8 verses. And so even though you understand the Hebrew language, you have to understand its context in degrees. So you can speak the language, and I may understand, bro, I may know a little language, Tim. Okay, Toda Rabbah, that means, you know, thank you, you know, very much. So I understand that, but how to walk the alphabet down is like, because it has to be put into a living form as well, because all the words are living. So we have to put, when we understand this language in that form, and that's what was given to David, because each letter has 8 verses, and it gives instructions. The law is like this. The law is like that. And then you understand Aleph other than just seeing the word A. Like, particularly when you learn your ABCs in school, you understood what an A was, and it makes this sound when you're speaking in this language. It makes that sound if you're saying it from this perspective. And also they got some characters that they say are silent. How do you know when to say that? You know, when there's a language that's being silent. Well, in like manner, the script say it's a time when certain people, you should speak. That don't mean you can't never speak. It's just certain times when words are to be taught basically in a silent conversation, so to speak, like what the Messiah was doing when they were taking him through the halls of justice and getting ready to crucify him. He didn't open his mouth, didn't say a word, because prophecy told him, keep your mouth closed while you're going through this. Don't fight back. You know, he knew he had all the power. That's what he told the disciples. I got enough power, I can end this right now. And he told Pilate, you have no power except what my Father give you. So this ain't about me weakening down to you. I got to walk this course, and there's nothing for me to say at this time. And he like, you ain't got nothing to say, don't you know I can let you go, I can free you, I can do it. He like, look, man, come on, who you fooling? you done heard of me, you done heard about me, you done heard the things that I done. Your soldier talked about when he got home, his daughter was alive, he was dead. So let's not fool each other here. I'm here to do what I was born to do. And that's to walk this walk down for the sins of my people, that they may turn back and to gain the rest of the world. Understanding that prophecy. So, and when you see song of degrees, you know, there's parts that David is actually, those psalms he's playing and singing them, and songs of degrees. He can go up to a high note on it. So in that like manner, sister, if you ask it from that perspective. Because if you teach a child his ABCs and they sing them, and then you ask him, so now with those ABCs, make a sentence with some of those words. Write me out, who is this? I don't know how to do that. I just know the song. A-B-C-E-S. Won't you sing with me? Hey, that's right. But if you say, now point to a D. Nowhere the D at. So, y'all, in like manner, when you understanding this language, you got to understand what Aleph means, because the priest asked the Messiah, they say, you ain't even 12 years old yet, how do you know your letters like this? And he was breaking them off. It wasn't the fact that he was just saying Aleph, Bet, Gamma, you know, all of the words, you know, he was breaking them off according to the law. He told them, look, I'll explain Aleph if you tell me what Bet means. Baby, give me that, and then we can discuss some things. They like, well, I don't know, you talking like this and a youngster?
Right.
Where's he getting this from? So in that perspective, this walk to become perfect in it, there's a time you have to listen to learn, so you have to be quiet, you know. And then there's times when you have to speak bold as a lion. You know, you have to know when to be perfect because everybody's watching. And y'all, in this age today with everybody watching, it's out of control. Everybody dirt coming up to the forefront. I'm talking about most of these charges on these men are over 20 years old. They thought had been forgot about. But it's all setting it up for the one event that's about to happen. And that's the Antichrist finna hit this earth. Y'all ain't understand that. Hold on, go ahead, bro.
I ain't even cut you off.
Go ahead.
Can you collaborate on the orange pervert, the Tic Tac guy? You know what I mean? The UN.
Just about to hit.
Right, that's what I'm
on this
can you
signing that
collaborate?
deal, huh?
Yeah, can you collaborate on that?
Yeah.
If you got,
So, what he's speaking on is Donald Trump went and did what 3 presidents or 4 presidents before him refused to do. And that's to sign the Jerusalem Embassy Act of 1990-95, I believe it was. And that's where the current United States Embassy is in Tel Aviv. That's like a suburb, like you got St. Louis, and then you got Jennings and Ferguson. These are suburbs of St. Louis. So the embassy sits like in Ferguson, but downtown Jerusalem is like downtown St. Louis. And it's right now what they call a 2-state piece of land. The Palestinians, it's been granted one side of it, and the Edomites or false Jews been granted the other side. It's like Goodfellow. Do y'all know Goodfellow? On this side of Goodfellow, if you head toward Highway 70, coming from West Florissant, that's the county. On this side of Goodfellow, it's still the St. Louis city limits, divided by a street called Goodfellow. So in like manner, but what they got is they got both of the most holiest sites of worship sitting in the middle of Goodfellow. So they have to share that space. Well, with the orange pervert signing that document, it moves now the United States Embassy or its location that where if you overseas and you American citizen, so to speak, you have a place of refuge in that land. So because they're allies, so to speak. And America pays them, gives them $5 billion a year. Going all the way back to the 1920s when they bailed America out of bankruptcy. So they ain't even started on the interest yet, knocking a dent in it, so they ain't even touched the loan yet. So with that, moving that to the middle of Goodfellow as we was talking, now says that you agree with the Edomites that they should have the most holiest site in Jerusalem. It should belong to them and them alone. So that kills the two-party state. Now is one party ruling. Well, if we ruling it now, then that Arab monster, the third holiest site they claim that Muhammad ascended from sometime at night, late at night, didn't nobody see it. that spot now, they're going to remove it. So what is he going to do? But stir the pot for World War III, because that's a holy site for them. And if you saying we have control of it, then you tell us when we can come in and go worship. So basically, you got to wait till we open the gate for y'all come in and worship y'all God. Or we just going to remove it, which we should have did long time ago. So he signed this act, and you have to understand, his heart is so hard like Pharaoh. If y'all ever been reading about how Pharaoh's heart was hard, it's Donald Trump. Yes, I apologize for grabbing that woman, me and Billy Bush talking about it on the bus. I forgot, I did it all, and his wife come out and apologize. He said it was locker room talk. Yesterday, or 3 weeks ago, last week, he said, I ain't never said that. If I did, I didn't mean it like that. So that's a hard heart to have to go back and apologize for what you said, but you're not apologizing. You're saying, y'all heard me wrong. Those were y'all lying ears. Not my lying tongue. Y'all lying ears. Y'all ears lie what y'all hear.
Crazy talk.
That's fake news y'all heard. That wasn't me on that bus rattling them tic-tacs. That was somebody else, wasn't me.
Right.
You know how a woman will say, they said they saw you at the grocery store with one another woman, wasn't me.
Right.
No law. So in like manner, this is what he's doing. So with him signing that, y'all, it's on the brink of World War III, the start of it. But think about this. When they moved that embassy, it has to be rebuilt. So if it's being rebuilt in Jerusalem, it may mimic or symbolize the temple of the Antichrist. Because at this point, if you attack that embassy, attacking the Edomites, then you're attacking America too. That's why we say Babylon is not a location. Babylon is a system of affiliation. They are locked together like this. And once you put that newly built embassy there, that means anybody cross that space, you are basically attacking America. So now it's 2 against 1. Now the nuclear warheads have doubled now. Not only the Air Force, everything. The Palestinians don't stand a chance at this point. You got Turkey saying it was a terrible move. We ain't gonna stand for it. So they burning flags, and it's rough, y'all, right now over in the Middle East. Y'all need to really pay attention to it, and that move of the embassy and rebuild it. They can deck it out, and whoever goes up in it could claim to be inside. Now, don't say I'm making prophecies. I'm just telling you, the timing seems suspect and where it's going to be located at. If we've been looking for a temple to be rebuilt, maybe as simple as rebuilding that embassy in Jerusalem.
You know, they got a travel advisory out too for U.S. citizens not to really be traveling abroad if you don't have to right now.
Right, absolutely, because think about it, at this time of year too, people ready to, they in that spirit, they ready to party, they ready to basically you're gonna be off guard because your focus is too much on in the middle of worrying about what's happening with this folly day. So they're ready to attack. And once again, had another white guy going to school and shoot it up, but they still ain't saying terrorists. I mean, you got to have some kind of documentation they can go look at and say, this is his mindset. That's terrorism. But it's going to keep happening until they acknowledge homeborn terrorists. They're trying not to. Like the guy that shot up everybody in that concert out in Vegas, refused to say it. They want to examine his brain instead of look at his hard drive and just see he's a anti-terrorist. That's basically what he brought terror to me. If you don't want to say it because his skin is white, then that's on y'all. Well, you're going to have to keep explaining why you won't call them terrorists, because they coming out, they see the end at the door. That's right. So, anybody got any more questions before we kind of pick back up where we left off? Anybody got any questions from last week? Because we're going to pick right back up with all of the scriptures that we said to go home and study on. And y'all, what we're talking about is the right hand of Yah. And most things that we're talking about, the Trinity, like if we talk about the virgin birth, they think we're talking the Immaculate Conception. But don't bring us those doctrines of Christianity. They got it from out of the Bible. They just twisted it to make it fit them. Trinity ain't in here, nor is rapture in here, nor is the teaching of Christianity in here. Ain't nowhere in here that tells you keep all the folly days and don't even mention the holy days. You say those are nailed to the cross. So you can do wicked.
Yeah.
So you can participate in trunk or treat.
Yeah.
But we ain't supposed to, he nailed them Feast of Tabernacles and dedication, all that's been nailed to the cross.
That's it.
But yet we finna get into a spirit that says, don't do it. Don't be involved with it. Y'all, something wrong with that picture.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, sister.
I'm trying to understand the Trinity.
Uh-huh.
What if it's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? That's three, and Trinity is three. What do they do they shouldn't do by using Trinity or whatever?
Well, what it's saying is that they look at it like the Most High has split himself into three pieces versus creation of other entities into multiple individuals around his throne in the heaven. So they like when he was the Holy Spirit, that was him, all Holy Spirit. In essence, because it all comes from him, yes, we understand that there's one God. But that one God sits on his throne. And he has somebody, son, brother, sitting at the right hand of him. Also, he has a cabinet around him, so to speak. Like Trump got all of his advisors and his administration. You got the vice president, the Messiah is the vice president of this one God system. When they say the president of the United States, he's coming representing his whole body. If somebody go represent him, if Pence go overseas, he represents what he was sent to do. He's an ambassador. He don't have to be everywhere. And he don't have to do all of the work of putting people down. Did anybody see Barack Obama in a Navy SEAL uniform when they went and got Bin Laden? But who got all the credit? Who that go on? Who did Saddam, who do that get to go on? Bush. He wasn't in no planes and nothing. He sent his boy, y'all handle that work. And he sitting back like this in the Oval Office, watching it on film.
Right.
This what Obama and y'all seen him like this, him and Hillary, looking like they got it. They got it on my orders.
Yep.
So y'all, when you understand the one God from that perspective, you understand the three that bear record, but these three are one. You have to understand it. If you don't, you're going to miss it, and you're going to be left with, well, everywhere the Messiah is, if it's only one God, and he's talking about God, then it must be God, then he must be God. So you're going to always be in a position of eliminating somebody, if you believe it like that, because you're going to have to eliminate the Messiah. Because there's scriptures that saying he should be called the everlasting Father. You be like, well, what about the Father? How he going to be called? He can't take the Father's place. He ain't taking his place. That was part of the assembly in the heavens. It's always been there. It ain't changed. We just trying to understand that the Word was with God and the Word was made flesh. Now, if that Word was made flesh, if God was made flesh, then who watching the throne? So look, it was a war in heaven before the earth was created. Now, if you think he come down here, got to be born, he's in the womb for 9 months, then he got to be birthed up, and then he got to raise up, then he got to 33 years before he's even judged and slaughtered. Isaiah 53, so he was put to death and all of that. And then he ascended back where he came from, back to the throne. Who watching the throne?
Right.
Or is it simply, he tells him, son, you got to do what we talked about.
Right.
You got to do what we talked about, but don't worry about it. The company belongs to you because it was created for you. For him to rule planet Earth was a plan already in motion before Adam was even thought about. You'll rule Earth. The heaven of the heavens can't hold the Father. So y'all, but the word Trinity is not in there. And you have to be careful when you start discussing the Bible. You have to straighten them out. Hold on, Trinity. Well, I know it ain't no chapter verse. I ain't gonna even ask you because you know it ain't one in there either. Just say that. Or you talking about the three that bear record. See, we have to get them on the same page before we even start discussing. We can't discuss what ain't in the Bible and we talking about it like it has some reference.
Right.
You have to bring them back to the book if you're talking about events happening. You can't rename it to what you want to call it. Call it what the Bible calls it. What you got back there, G, before we get rolling?
Babylonian religion, they you know, they do the Trinity thing, man. And that's what got, you know, a lot of these churches confused right now.
Absolutely, because they get you to think that that's what you talk about. Like when we talk about the virgin birth, every non-messer in the camp out there say, them niggas down there teaching the Immaculate Conception. Y'all ain't read Immaculate Conception. We go read it right now and tell us that that's what we're saying. Immaculate Conception say Mary has the juice. That's what it say, don't it? It say, who do you say Hail Mary to? To the Messiah? That ain't in that doctrine, is it?
No.
It says Mary has the juice. Confess and say what?
3 Hail.
3 Hail, or however many you need to get yourself in order.
They say.
So y'all, we want to be careful when somebody's saying that's what you're doing. We have to straighten them out again and keep at it. Just like the rapture. The rapture in here is called the great gathering of the saints. You have to correct it. Or you're talking about the great gathering. Because the rapture say we're going to be gone before tribulation starts. The great gathering say after tribulation is over, those of us who made it through will be gathered. That's the great gathering. That's all recorded in here. So if you let them start talking that, you're going to have to at least get them to the point that where it shows you're going to be gone before this happens. And everywhere they show you, there's verses before that say at the last trump. So they're using verses that say it's after the fact anyway. And they don't understand what they say because they're trying to change the language. Go ahead, brother.
They say they go to heaven for 7 years through the tribulation over, then come back and say.
And then they come back with hurts.
They come back and say,
See, so, but everybody that's even under their altar right now, or what we call paradise, in that position, have put in a major league work. They've proven themselves to be their rest, and they'll come back as saints with the Most High because he's coming back with 10,000 of his saints. Times 10,000. So we know, but these are proven men. You in the same breath saying, I know I'm going to heaven, and you say it ain't no law. Well, what do you think you're going to be doing up there? Right. Partying. Like, or you be thinking like Tupac. Tell Kato keep it popping up there for me. I'll be up that way shortly. Right. No, it ain't popping up there for Kato. You think you're going to take all that behavior up there? No, ain't going to be no I get around videos made up there. So y'all, we ain't going to fool ourselves. Anybody got more questions before we get going? I get around. We go way back. Anything on your mind, heart, soul? Okay. What you got, Sister Joy?
What does the Bible say about people that are deceived and go to the grave that never really was exposed to the truth?
What was it say about those that never been exposed to the truth? Well, everybody's been exposed to the truth. It's just the acceptance level. This is why prophecy is so important. See, it's always been somebody that's going to get the message delivered. Everybody has that opportunity to see. Now, you just in different positions. Like at the beginning of slavery, we think that nobody heard the word of the Most High. But we had the scriptures there. Yeah, they taught it from the slave master perspective, but you had the Nat Turners, you had all of the other ones who understand the scripture that was reading back door like we doing, and then you had the majority of them reading the scripture from that perspective. But when you watch that movie about Nat Turner, he's landing on the line, he's going toe to toe. But yes, the Lord says this, until the slave master hit him with the butt of the gun, is making me quiet. But it's always been there. And when we say, he said, I'm not going to put on you more than you can bear, and I'm not going to leave you basically left unarmed, so to speak, because he knows I'm going to put you into slavery. That would be the biggest excuse on Judgment Day.
Yep.
Lord, didn't have a clue. Couldn't write, couldn't read, none of that. They had me on lockdown. That ain't never been to a point because your conscience don't go on lockdown. He said next what happened is I'll put nature in there so that you can watch it. Because that's the law we have to use once this becomes a famine and they take this. How you gonna calculate the times without the ordinances keeping their order? If that month didn't do what it did, we ain't gonna know what feast day or what time of the month it is. The sun didn't come up like it did. If the winter, summer, spring didn't hit like it was supposed to hit, you would be in trouble if they turn off the satellites and your phone got took from you. Try being out in the wilderness like we was out there in the Feast of Tabernacles and nobody got a signal. I'm talking about pacing, looking for a signal. Hello? Hello? Yeah, man, we out here in the woods, man. That's gone. What you gonna do? A famine is coming, y'all, this word, so we got to get it in here and understand it, you know, from that perspective. But we're here a little bit in Romans 2 to kind of explain a little bit of that. And then, y'all, we'll pick back up on the right hand of Yah. Good question, sister.
He gonna roll back them times when he brought it to you, you denied it.
Right. Start about what you said, bro. Say that again. Repeat that. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna back it up. Let's start at 6. And y'all, and this is for any of those questions like that. What about my peace? My mama didn't know it like this. Majority of us say, look, man, you know, my grandmother used to say we was the Jews. You just never got an explanation. How did she know to say that? And then when you look at history and you say, man, they had some Hebrew writing up there, and they found this in a slave shack. So what does that tell us? They were just doing it. They had to do it undercover. They had to do it undercover. But once they expose you to this, they're putting a light in your hand. So you always, it's going to be one once they start allowing you to see it, because this is the only way we learn how to read and write. It was against the law. What books you think we had? Think we had the school books we had? No. It was the scripture that taught us how to read and slavery. And y'all have to think about it. He never put us in captivity where we couldn't get to his law. There ain't been no captivity. Not Egypt, not Babylon, because the Cyrus cylinder, even in Babylon, it wrote on there that the God of the Hebrews is God. Allowed us to go back and rebuild the temple. Your God. Pharaoh said it too. Yeah, y'all God is God, man. He didn't put it on us. He let us know what the real deal is. But we'll hit a few scriptures, y'all, to get that understood. Shalom, y'all.
Hey, before you go any further, Dan, before you go any further,
Yeah.
back then it was Hebrews that was denying, even though they knew the truth. It was
Oh, absolutely. It's been that way since we left Egypt. Dathan and Korah now. I mean, David, if y'all watch the movie The 10 Commandments, he was there with G. Robinson. That weasel looking when the Pharaoh asked, he said, you'll kill your mama if I ask you, wouldn't you? He said, if it pleased the Pharaoh, his mama gone. He opposed Moses before they left and after in the wilderness till he was swallowed up, him and 3,000 others so in the wilderness. Before we got back to land, made it out of Egypt, but dropped in the wilderness. So y'all have to understand, ain't no once saved, always saved. You got to make it to the finish line. You don't make it to the finish line, then you get crowned. Ain't no crowning before that. How you said, look, ain't no need me even taking off from the starting blocks. Already got this one. No, they make you still run. Don't anybody at the Olympics can do that? I mean, you may have Usain Bolt as the favorite, but if he don't get out of them starting blocks right, what's going to happen? Because all you need is that 1/10 of a second that these other boys are behind. So y'all, we don't want to get it misunderstood what we're talking about here. So let's get into it. Romans chapter 2. Elijah, you want to get some of this up here? Okay.
We're in the book of Romans, chapter 2, verse 5. But after thy hardness and impenitent heart treasurest up unto thyself wrath against the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of Yahweh, who will render to every man according to his deeds.
So Paul ain't saying nothing new. This is the same thing in Ecclesiastes 12, ain't it? Some risen to everlasting life, where everything gonna be brought into judgment. Every good deed, every evil deed, every secret thing. So we right back, they're repeating the same language. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 7. To them who by patient continuance in well-doing seek for glory and honor and immortality, eternal life.
See, and that's coming to them who are patient. Look, if we found out right now it was 115 more years to go before we even get close to the parable of the fig tree, where your heart gonna be the most? Because if you, anything, hell, if you 1 year old, another 113 years old, you probably saying, I ain't gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. But y'all, ain't nothing changed. Deuteronomy 28, when we came here, is for every generation to see it. You got Deuteronomy 28 going all around you, don't we? Ain't that what we talking about now? You think they didn't have no difference back then? It's so no matter how much money you got, these curses don't leave. You're still up under. As OJ, as Tiger, as any of them who thought that money could make them escape. Deuteronomy 28. What's the boy play for the Seahawks? Bennett? Vegas, they had him down on the ground, didn't they? He got millions, ain't he? What was he told? The same thing. Move, nigga, and you gonna be dead. And it ain't never no Brinks truck following a hearse, is it? What you got, bro?
It's just like the slaves got here at the beginning of the 400.
The what?
The slaves got here at the beginning of the 400.
They just got the beginning of the 400. They got the fierceness of it. And we on the tail end of it. It don't mean we escaped it, because you're still in captivity. You're 14% of a nation, but you're 90% of its penal system. The men. Now the women are packing up the prisons too. There you go. So you're on the lighter end. It's flip of when we was in Egypt. We went in on the lighter end for a couple hundred years. And then the Pharaoh rose up that didn't know Joseph. And he put the heat on us on the latter end. But the heat is coming back, y'all, when the Antichrist, if we're allowed to see it, the heat's coming back, because all of the book of Daniel say he's going to make war with the saints and should do what?
Burn them out.
Burn them out. Yeah. War is coming, so we ain't got away from nothing if you're on the tail end of it. Just like the first slave that was in them and got on a boat, he like, that's the beginning of it. If you on at the beginning, how many years the prophecy says it's going to be? How many of your ancestors at that point living 400 and let's say 31, because it lasted 430 years. Who lived 431 before that, in that generation of getting on to them slave ships? So you knew at that point, I'm gonna die like this. In like manner, we have to have that same mindset, even though we in this form of captivity, so to speak, of what you would consider good time in jail. We don't, tomorrow ain't promised to us. We still gotta face the resurrection just like they do. And this thing may go a while. That's why we don't date set down here. We ain't making up no false prophecy. We tell you one day closer to Holy Jerusalem. That's right. One day closer. Not 2 or 3 days, because if we did know the day, the Lord shall return Thursday, December the 16th, there shall be weeping and that. We'll wait till Wednesday night, 11:59 and 59 seconds, and say, I'm finna get right. So talking it out. You know, Lord gonna be here, you know, well, wait a minute, I'm trying to watch this Hollywood Housewives TV. Okay, after that go off, I gotta tell you, because you know he gonna be here. It's the same thing what he said in the days of Noah. He said he was doing what? Giving in marriage, still partying, until Noah did what? Entered into the ark. They were warned for 120 years. I'm talking about, it wasn't like it went away, the warning. The ark was still being built. It was just that they were looking at him. Look at that crazy. I know he was crazy. I told y'all, he building a boat and water is 30 miles away. Who gonna drag this big old, this 450 feet? How big is a football field? 300 feet? 300 feet. So that's 300 feet there. 3 feet a yard. Or 3 foot. 3 feet a yard. So that's 300 yards plus another 150 feet. That was the length of the ark. So a football field and a half. And its width was 75, what was it? 75 cubits. So the width of a football field is 50 yards wide, about 100 yards long. So you add another 25 on that. And then it was 3 stories.
Who helped them build it?
Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and Noah. And you building it where water is miles and miles away. So they would look at it and just laugh. Yeah, that's so crazy, Noah. Yeah, and on that hoochie again. But first, when that first raindrop hit, and it hit like somebody throwed an orange from off the top of a building, wait a minute. This rain hit kind of hard. Then the fountains of the deep opened up. So all of the water spouts from the earth opened up and started pushing water up, like when a sewer can't take rainwater now, it pushes it back in your basement. So that was coming up from the bottom, and it rained continuously, a torrential downpour for 40 days and for 40 nights. Now, if you say, man, ain't no way it could have drowned in 40 days and 40 nights. 2 hours, FEMA in here. And water up to the rooftop, ain't it? Yeah. You write SOS on your roof, sitting up there. And that's 2 hours. And it's stopping and starting a little bit and start again. I'm talking about non-stop torrential downpours coming from up under the earth and coming from down. Because the firmament was split when we read in the book of Genesis. Half of the water is up top and half of it here on earth. There's much water up there as it is down here, so you get hit from both directions. And I guarantee you, when they find the ark, on that door, it's going to be claw prints in there. Trying to get in there, let us in. Yeah. So y'all ain't gonna belabor the point, let's move on. Where we at?
We're in the book of Romans, chapter 2, verse 8.
What it say?
But unto them that are contentious and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, indignation and wrath, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil, of the Jew first.
Of the who first?
Of the Jew first, and also of the Gentile.
Yeah.
But glory, honor, and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first, and also to the Gentile. For there is no respect of persons with Yah.
So how can you have no respect of persons when there's an order of who get punished first and who get rewarded first? See, so that you have to be complete in understanding what he's no respecter of persons. That don't mean because you're an Israelite, he look at you, oh, that's my Israelite. If that's the case, he'd have gave David a pass with what he did. No, it's just letting it be known. When it comes down to law breaking, you, my child, you get it first. Same way you do your children if company over and you let them know, going to the store. You don't have that playing and jumping in my bed, don't you? Like they do over at their mama house. You better tell them. Because I whoops. And let me come back and see if it's like that. And they come back and them pillows move like, boy, with some savage jumping in the bed. Who get it first? You know who get it first. You get it first. So y'all, with that understanding, that don't mean what he's saying is law breaking I won't have a respect of. I don't care who you are, because I could have chose anybody to be Israel. I could make rocks be Israel. I made a donkey talk, they could have been Israel. So don't get it twisted because you Israel, but still there's a covenant in Genesis 15 that he say he cannot, will not, because he said I swore an oath to Abraham. So that can't be broken under no circumstance. That still must be fulfilled. That's why the kingdom have the 12 gates on it. Named after who? 12 tribes of Israel. That's why those Israelites sit on 12 thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel when that time comes. That's what he told the disciples. So y'all, there's still that over there. And the same thing as we read on, we're going to get into some 3-in-1 of this same Romans, because the question is asked again. Well, if everybody's equal, then what advantage is it to be saying we Israel? So we'll get to that, but go ahead, bro. Read some more.
Verse 12.
What it say?
For as many as have sinned without law.
Without what?
Without law.
So, Sister Joyce, this is your question. Many have sinned without law, because we know just because you were a slave don't mean you didn't do no sinning. The earth tells you what to do. They knew it was wicked when they were made to have same sex as entertainment and sport. Master, you know it's wrong. The God of heaven don't like it. God of heaven ain't here right now. Shut them britches down and you and Rufus and Buck get together and give us some activities. That's what drove Nat Turner crazy. And then they made some slaves start getting with dogs for entertainment. And they knew that that was against the laws of nature itself. That's why that 1 Corinthians 11, does not nature teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame to him? What in nature says something about a man having long hair or dreads down the hair? What in nature prevents you from doing that? I'm still waiting for somebody to say, you have a lot of people out there that teach that means that men shouldn't have long hair, or everybody got to have short shaved hair. Men do. You got a problem now with number 6. What about the Nazarite? He can't cut his hair. Samson couldn't cut his hair. Absalom didn't cut his hair, 2 Samuel 13, for a year. He cut his hair once a year. And it weighed 3 shekels when he used to cut it off. Now, if you're saying nature caused him a problem when Joab was out to kill him because of what he did, you know, trying to take over the throne and having his way with his father's concubine, and he got caught in a branch, a tree, and was hanging by his afro. That's how they caught him. Caught him in between that haircut. Now, if you saying that's what nature means about it, no, but what it means is that if it goes out of order, the nature is the male is the dominant or the ruler, and he's the stronger vessel. Don't mean the women have no part in it. It says that they're the protector even in the animal kingdom. If that role switch, it don't work out in nature as well. That's all it was saying. If a man's hair become his glory, if he start throwing his hair back and them flipping the dudes in, if it's his glory like it should be a glory to the woman, then they switch roles because he's gonna start putting on a few other things like pimps. Rollers in their hair, them flippy the dudes, and then they start wearing them lace and big collar shirts, tight fitting slacks, platforms with fish in them. Because they want to look as pretty as they woman. That's the whole thing. They teach them, they put makeup on them. So the role is switching. So is it nature teach you that if two male dogs sniff around one another, what's going to happen? Two females get to sniffing, same thing, ain't it? So if that role switch to where the weaker vessel becomes the head, that's a shame to a man. It was a shame for Ahab. It's a shame for any man that's in the grocery store and he run that cart over his wife's heels because she told him, stay by me. Just get the stuff I tell you, get off the shelf, get that sugar. And you bump her heels. Did I tell you, you ugly mother, to stay back with that damn cart? You ain't watching no football when we get home. And don't even think about getting yourself a beer. Matter of fact, get in the car, go sit your ass in the car. If y'all saw that in any store, I don't care what doctrine you believe, you'd be like, boy, it's a shame for a man to have long hair. Because then it goes right into a woman showing her or shaving head because she wants a different covering. So it's on the physical side, but y'all is more spiritual than it is physical. It's just talking about flip and roll. And the only thing you got in nature, if the female takes control, she kills the male. And that's the black widow and the praying mantis. Because every wicked woman they call her what on these series? Down on 5th Street, the black widow strikes again. She's killed her 5th husband. You be like, boy, she dangerous. 5 husbands ain't lasted with her. So y'all, from that perspective, that's the only thing you got. Other than that, you need somewhere in the scripture. You got to answer for a Nazarite, Absalom not cutting his hair, men shaving at certain times. You got to account for growth of hair. You got to account for it. You know, if you don't, that's just you looking at that scripture from one perspective. Yep. Just coming through the door at this angle. Where we at? Go ahead, bro.
Verse 12. For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law.
Right.
And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law.
So as many have sinned without the law, and as many have sinned in, hold on, let me read it again. For as many have sinned without law shall also perish without law. So basically saying there ain't, it's like you have today one thing, the law is done away with. Yeah, you're going to perish without law since you think that, but because you still going to be judged by the law. Don't mean because you decide he nailed that to the cross and I'm free to do whatever I do, you're going to die without the law as well. Because Romans 4:15, where there's no law, there's no transgression. If there's no law, then there ain't no sin. And if there ain't no sin, what we getting up on why y'all getting up every Sunday morning ironing clothes for what? Ain't no law. Why you going to church? You know what they'll say? Because it's just to show that you are believing. Believing in what though? Ain't no law. What you gonna show me? But criminal activity. Ain't no law, ain't no guideline. Just commandments and men. That's all it is. Because you think this thing started at Mount Sinai. Cain was told and called what? A what? A murderer. So is there a different set of law books? Noah was found drunk getting off the ark after he became a husband. Broke the golden rule on the streets, got high on his own supply. He became a husband. Had his own liquor store and tasted it, sipped too much. The law still applied, then where they get you can't be drunk. Still to this day, don't they mock them with all the cartoons? They show them as a what? A drunkard. No other drunkard. I don't care what little pieces of work you get that comes up in there. Same thing Leviticus 18 is the same thing Ham did. Uncovered his father's nakedness. Same thing Leviticus is saying. What law books we got for that? Let's read some more.
Verse 13. For not the hearers of the law are just before Yah, but the doers of the law shall be justified.
See, and this is one thing too, sis, like when you're saying the hearers of the law are not justified. See, we hear a lot, just like today. Even though you said maybe they didn't know about the word, we got people here every day don't hear the law. If they heard it, they would do it. It's plain and simple. If you hear it, you would do it. So, in essence, if you're not, you're in the same position, you're saying my ancestors was who may have not known the truth. The hearers and the doers hear and do. Not hear and just watch, see what's going to happen. Go ahead, brother.
For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law.
You see what it's saying? By them not giving the law, but do things by nature contained in the law. You know it's going to be for a season. The Gentiles know that. They see how they multiply their animals and crops. There's a law out there to tell them these things are natural laws, not to be, and they govern themselves by that natural law. Because guess what the elements are doing? They follow the law. Star, sun, and the moon. Right. They don't break course. That's right. Humans break the course. Right. Go ahead, bro.
These,
hold on. I think judgment coming because they pervert the works of God, like the earth and the food, they put this GMO stuff. So they tell it, he's jealous, right? So by him being jealous, if you go in and you finagle his creation, you're gonna have a problem with him. He's gonna have a problem with you. Just like Yahshua, he created the planet Earth, right? Right. So if you destroy it, he's gonna have a beef with you, right?
Right. I mean, once you say the hands of the world, the wicked been given in the hands of the wicked, then that means they control all of the animals like Adam was given charge of all the animals. Y'all look, you have to understand we can't kill off everything because those things keep the earth in its perfect balance. You'll have an overrun of rats if it wasn't enough snakes or different things that bring that population back down. You have an overrun of land trash if they start eating up too much swine. Because they eat up all the garbage on the earth. You build too many red lobsters, tilapia ain't gonna be no good because you ain't got nothing cleaning the filth in the oceans. So by nature you are seeing the course of this, but guess what they make what we ought to love to have? The doo-doo eaters. Come to Red Lobster, they pouring butter over it like, boy, I can't wait to tell it. The other white meat, the whole nine. So what you got here is filth has become the top of the chain now. Special of their folly days, they used to give chitlins away. It used to be Cry Packing House. I'm telling you something, let's give right there on South Florida. I said, what's the other street over there in Hyde Park, Elijah? Old Cry Packing House. You used to go there and get free chitlins. And when they're like, they doing what? They eating it. What? Oh, we better make some money off of it now. Now it's in Snooks. All these every store, 10, 20, 30 pounds of chitlins.
Now before they start giving them away, they was start selling. They wasn't selling it at first.
Right, absolutely. They was giving them away. You can go pull up to the back. Give me some of them whole guts y'all about to throw away. They like, how much do you want? Just fill up a sack full of them.
Now Israel will kill each other over.
Kill each other over. Yeah. Go ahead, what you got, Mordecai?
Look up how Donald Trump's grandfather made his first fortune off of selling horse meat.
Dead horse meat.
Dead horse meat they was finding on the trail there. Look that up.
Donald Trump daddy opened up like a bar and grill like an Applebee's back in the day. You can eat and drink. Yeah. But because they was in that gold rush or whatever they was doing, and horses was falling off of cliffs because it was dangerous, man, he'd have a group go down there, cut that horse up, man, and the whole menu, horse meat surprise. Horse meat pizza. What does it say? Horse meat for breakfast. Nothing but horse meat, horse meat, horse meat. Ain't nothing changed today. I mean, I don't care what they sell today. The biggest burger, and you looking at it, man, that looks pretty good until it, and then they throw a piece of 3 or 4 pieces of bacon on the top of it. You be like, oh, yeah. They got bacon shakes now. They crumble bacon up in a shake and you be sipping. I heard tales at work. Boy, it was so good. I say, so y'all actually sipping bacon now. What you got?
Ground beef. You see the little white stuff in the ground beef, that's pork.
That's pork and ground beef?
Yeah, you don't get pure hamburger unless you get chili.
Well, I mean, what is the ingredients any listed? I mean, how does the pork get in there? Are they mixing it?
But see, there's different grains of ground beef too. If you look on packages, some are various grains of fat, you know, less fat and more fat.
Yeah. And yeah, it could be a lot of fat they're looking at because it would have to be listed. They don't have to list it, but by now, you would have somebody been already reported that, man, I work at Snooks, man, we mixing that stuff every day, we doing it. They may be cutting it with the same blade. If they're getting on that, it's probably from using the same blade or something, but no, it's not pork. They got different sections for it. If it was, you know, it would probably be a problem for them. Now, I'm not saying that they ain't slipped it in there. They could have slipped it in there because they only have to reveal certain of the ingredients. If they say 100% beef, it better be. If it's chuck roast, those are higher prices. It better be.
That's right.
But what you said, what's sold in the shelf? Yeah. But y'all gotta understand one thing. You know, when they're doing those things, they don't have to put everything in there. Who in here know them 10 secret spices of KFC? Who got the ingredients? Them could be ground fish. I mean, frog hips and drunken rat brains as the ingredients. The taste is right. And you thinking that, oh, that's them spices. Who know them spices? So they're not revealing those ingredients. Yeah, you don't do it. Who in here revealing how Big Mama make that sweet potato pie? What's all the secret? What gives it that? You ain't telling this. So in like manner, y'all, they have to tell the bulk of it, what it's called, where it came from. They have to tell that.
But you also find that a lot of times when they create these new products, they put it out there for Israel to try it first.
Right.
Because we're the biggest consumers.
Yeah.
But if you look at the movie Roots, and you'll see the progression of the transgression. Like in the movie Roots where Toby or Kunta, when he met Philip, and Philip was trying to feed him. And he tried to feed him the grits and the pork. And he didn't know what the pork was, so he made the sound of a pig. And Kunta slapped it out of his hand.
Right.
But you'll see the differences of generations of one who was first brought over here in the slave trade versus one who was born in captivity over here. How the one born in captivity preferred the sinful meat versus the one who was just brought over here because he had never tasted, you know, unclean meat. So therefore he slapped the swine out of his hand, but he took the grits. And he wanted more grits because that was grain.
Right.
He said, I can live off grain just like Daniel and them said in captivity. He said, give us the pulse. And you'll see that we just as fat as those who's eating the king's meat.
That's right.
But it showed you the progression of sinfulness and how America and Babylon presents its meats to Israel to defile themselves. That way they're justified in their wickedness.
That's
what
right.
they think.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
So who go out to that Taste of Clayton out there? Who been out there? They have it every year. You know, you go out to Shaw Park, they got some bands out there. Anybody seen the Taste of African American? The Taste of Soul Food. Is you think you buying tickets, them white folks buying tickets for a taste of chitlins? I mean, anything, ham hock surprise. Is it a booth set up out there?
No.
For soul food? You got Little Italy out there, Chinese out there, the French out there with all of their grits. But where is the soul food booth? Ain't nobody gonna get a ticket for slave food? That's throwaway food. When you watch the Flintstones, what's under the sink? A what? That's the trash disposal, ain't it?
So, what they really saying when they saying soul food, man? Perverted soul.
You got the dictionary right there? Look up soul. I'm gonna let you hear what even they understand what soul is. They know soul is attributed to one people because of the blood covenants of Genesis 15. Every individual have a soul because the Most High say all souls are mine. But there's one that has been given soul, so to speak.
The law, commandments, and statutes.
And embodied within that soul comes rhythm, come movement, come speed, come power. Within that soul, when you say soul brother, what pops in your mind? Ain't nobody from a different nation, is it? Soul sister.
Right.
He got soul. Soul music. Now there's blue-eyed soul, but it's still attributed to, if you didn't see him and just heard him on the radio, you'd be like, man, what's that brother hitting at, man? That's a white dude, man. That's John B.
But you see, they still distinguish it as blue-eyed soul, away from that which is less of melanin.
Right.
You know, that's recessive of melanin.
That's right.
So they make a clear distinction that it's a white boy, it's a Gentile versus an Israelite.
Sounds just as smooth, but we call him blue-eyed soul. But he sit there right there learning and studying, just like Elvis Presley. Old brother taught him all them moves, sitting on his porch watching every day. And they was the same way. That's Comiskey was dancing when he first hit the scene.
Number one hit was a sister song. Big Mama Thornton.
Big Mama what?
Sister Thornton.
Yo,
Odelia.
that was his #1 jam?
Yeah.
And y'all,
Sister Odelia Thornton.
Now if y'all ever thought that anybody could supersede the rhythm of that blood covenant, you got it dead wrong. The hardest working man in show business doing a move that would captivate you. Do you know the camel walk is moonwalking forward? Until y'all Google James Brown doing the camel walk, y'all won't understand what I'm saying. It's moonwalking forward. Like you see Mike go backwards, he's going forward like that.
Actually, if you look before him, there's a brother from back in the 30s and 40s called Snake Hips.
Snake Hips?
He actually was a dancer, and he performed alongside of Duke Ellington a lot of times. I can't remember his last name, but they call him Snake Hips.
Snake Hips.
What we do?
Boy,
he was the old James Brown. If you look at him, you will see where James Brown, I mean, sliding across the floor, moonwalking, camel walking, the whole nine. Back in the 30s and 40s.
Snake Hips.
That's the name,
though. You like, boy, ain't no bone in them vertebrae in them areas. Let's get it, y'all. Let's catch up. Oh, hold on. Yeah, give me some. I'm sorry about that, bro. Okay. So.
You probably want to go, brother.
Okay, yeah. The animated and vital principle in man, credited with the faculties of thought, action, emotion, conceived as forming in an immaterial entity, distinguished but temporarily coexisting with his body. The spiritual nature of man considered in relationship to Yah, regarded as immortal, separable from the body at death, and susceptible to happiness or misery in the future state. Soul brother, a fellow Negro of the male sex. Soulful, full of expression, a deep feeling found emotion. Soulless, devoid of sensitivity or capacity for a deep feeling. It's like you said, somebody ain't got no conscience. Soulmate, one or two persons compatible with each other. Soul sister, a fellow Negro of the female sex. And on and on and on, y'all. But you see that when that's where that term came from. Soul brother number one. That was James Brown too. So y'all, they understand it because it's the essence of the Most High. It's just been elevated to that Romans we just read, to the Jew first, then the Gentile. So we understand, same compound build up, but one has blood covenant that's gonna run through all prophecy and ain't gonna end till Shiloh come, like Genesis 49 said, till the Messiah come and take back control of the reign. But we'll do greater things than these, y'all. That's what he said. He said, you think y'all doing something walking on water? These are lightweight things. How about we walk just through a door? If somebody just came through that wall right there, not that door, we'd be looking like, wait a minute, where you come from? Just materialized through a door. You see him sitting here, y'all both leave at the same time and he in Kansas City. Wait a minute. How you get there?
Right.
No, greater things than these, y'all. Let's catch up, y'all. Where we at? Verse what?
Verse 14. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves.
See, so it ain't never to the point nature is here. The Most High knew what was going to happen when he put us in captivity. Shalom, y'all. He didn't put us into captivity for us to be caught short or have a way to get out. Or say at Judgment Day, no, Lord, we didn't have the Bible. We didn't have the Bible. That would be one of the other big ones on Judgment Day, wouldn't it? Yeah. Slave master took the Bible. Well, you watching nature. You see how birth takes place. You understand and you know, you see animals, boy, like I say, two boy dogs, when they sniff each other, boy, the scrap is on, ain't it? I'm gonna have a stick to break them apart. So that tells you, well, I better not do that either. Because the scrap should be on. Go ahead, where we at?
Verse 15. Which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the mean while accusing or else excusing one another.
See, so you'll see the law written in your heart because you're looking at these things obey God. They don't break ranks. Anybody seen summer become winter? Now you may have a couple hot days in November, but that still ain't summer. Go out there with some sandals and some shorts on, because it's 70 in December, and watch what happens. You'll start calling it a summer what? Cold. It ain't summertime, no. You got a winter cold. If winter don't happen, it don't kill off disease. You have to kill off the disease from last year. That's why it freezes over and kills everything out, and then it becomes anew. If it didn't, y'all, we'd be in some trouble. Go ahead, brother.
In the day when Yah shall judge the secrets of men by Yahushua HaMashiach, according to my gospel.
So now he's saying when God shall judge the secrets of men, by who?
Yahushua HaMashiach, according to my gospel.
See, this is two, but still one. Because he's saying God is judging, but he's allowing Christ to do it by his walk. He did the perfect walk. He did the perfect walk. So he's going to allow him that. He fulfilled the will of the Most High where Adam failed. He fulfilled that. Go ahead, read some more.
Behold, thou art called a Jew, and restest in the law, and makest thy boast of Yah, and knowest his will, and approvest the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law.
Right.
And art confident that thou thyself art a guide of the blind, a light to them which are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law. Thou therefore, which teachest another, teachest thou not thyself? Thou that preachest a man should not steal, dost thou steal?
See, so he's saying the law is self-evident within itself. So if you therefore teach it another that you shouldn't steal, you teaching yourself, because you got to remember who I taught this to.
Right.
So I can't be caught doing this. So it don't mean that if you stole before, you can't teach it again. But if you telling somebody, man, don't do it, and they catch you running top speed out of bank and Rusty the Guardian behind you. Dog, it's for the kingdom, dog. Can't happen. Right. So y'all, that's what it's telling you, but you're teaching yourself how to behave by telling somebody else to do it. Because you on deck now, ain't you?
Yeah.
You can't tell nobody this and then you fully engage in the activity yourself. Now, if that activity calls you to the point of where you can tell somebody, I went that route, bro, you don't want to do that. That's a total different thing versus currently being active in that behavior. Like Deuteronomy 17 say, you can't be accusing nobody of adultery and got a stone in your hand ready to kill somebody, and you got 2 married women on the side, and you like this. You can't do it, because the same judgment have to come to you after you get through throwing your brick, and they holler next, like at the steakhouse. Then you wait a minute. Next. You up on deck now.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Verse 22. Thou that sayest a man should not commit adultery, dost thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest idols, dost thou commit sacrilege? Thou that makest thy boast of the law, through breaking the law dishonorest thou Yah? For the name of Yah is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you.
Through who?
Through you, as it is written.
See, through you as it is written. So when they see you eating chitlins and they see you doing different things, they be like, this the people of God? Right. This people. Right. Pants down below their button, it's wintertime. Doing this, doing that. This the people of God. Lamentation 4, how the gold become dim. Y'all, the gold has become dim. You see some of these youngsters, boy, gold make me had to get out my old twinkle. Boy, after seeing Raphael gold gleaming, I was like, this, wait a minute, what Raphael? Them gold shining like new money. Wait a minute, bro. So the gold has become dim, y'all. We fading out, y'all. We got to get that buffing rag back on so the world can see us in a different light. Right. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 25. For circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
That's a question. You know, do you have to have it on your flesh to keep the law?
No.
Or can you say, well, I ain't never been circumcised, so I'm free of the law? Dog, you can check if you want to, but I'm telling you, I ain't circumcised. You be like, oh man, I take your word for it. Wait, bro.
Verse 27. And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature.
Which is by what?
Which is by nature.
See, because you're born uncircumcised. Nobody's born circumcised. What you got said?
Is this only for the men, or is this?
It's for the heart of women.
It's for the
heart of women, but this physically talking about men, because the Father's the head of Christ, Christ the head of man, man head of woman. So it's just showing order and ranking. So he speaks from a man perspective, you know. But that same covenant, though, that circumcision has to be the covenant with a woman to make the marriage legal. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have that covenant on a man, so to speak, to tie that knot as well. But Abraham was how old? 199 before he circumcised himself. Nobody circumcised. Abraham put the blade to himself, and then everybody followed it after that. So
what if a woman don't have a man? I mean, if there's no
your heart
man,
still has to be circumcised. Your flesh of your heart. That's male faith. Look, over in certain parts of Africa, they circumcise women.
Okay.
There's a circumcised process for women over there. Them Sudanese and different things, they circumcise the women. Don't ask me how they do it, but you can Google it and I'm sure they'll show you some photos. Graphic photos. That they circumcise the women. So it can be done in the flesh of a woman, but that's not part of the covenant. It's only supposed to be done on a man. For a woman, her heart must be circumcised. Meaning it must be set apart. I'm cutting out everything out of this. I'm cutting off the unneeded part. That part of me that's causing me problems. You had something else to do it?
I was just saying law breaking.
Law breaking. So it's just speaking from the head of the body, so to speak, from the man perspective. That's all. When Paul was talking about that. Go ahead.
It's just like when you say all mankind.
Right. Absolutely. Women is included in that. When we say the brotherhood of the Messiah, we know Martha, Mary, Romans 16. When you read Romans 16, you see what Paul was saying about the sisters of the church. They're part of the brotherhood of the Messiah. See, the men can't be part of the sisterhood of the Messiah because then should a man have long hair? So we have to keep everything in perspective. That don't mean that that you're saying that the woman is the lower vessel, because that same Corinthians get down into it and say the man did not come of the woman, but the woman of the man. Even so, though, it ain't nothing without the woman, because you can't recreate yourself. You can't go get another man. Ain't nothing made on him designed for him to have his offspring come forth.
So would I have to have a head over me before the Lord comes back?
No, the Messiah is your head, or your father. If you out of the house of your father's house, then if you don't have a husband, the Messiah is next in line. And then you get to the father. So the chain of command ain't being broken.
Right.
You know. So you still have to go up the chain of command, so to speak. So he's your head. So you really got to be on a respect level, you know, when you go on that route, because now you're saying, that's my head, that's my husband, that's my covering.
Right.
That's the supernatural power that's over me. That's why women have to be careful about the angels. Like in the book of Jude, and when they keep saying, because of the angels, meaning that if you keep desiring a husband, you're going to get a husband in your dreams. And he's going to do everything you're lusting after, not desiring. I mean, to a sense that I'm saying, looking for the righteousness, but lusting, they'll come in your dream. Angels will. Demonic spirits. And have their way. They're called incubus. A demonic spirit, succubus for a man. Incubus for a woman. If you look it up now, they tell you spirits that come to women or men in their sleep and have intercourse with them.
You can see a movie, it's called Rosemary's Baby, where it was actually documented, where this actually happened in real life.
And the movie The Entity. Yeah. They actually filmed that.
They actually filmed them.
Show her legs flop over her head and the book of Tobit as well. Yeah. 7th chapter, 8th chapter, when y'all get into that. The daughter he married, this was her 7th wedding, and they never made it past the wedding chamber. The demon would kill the husband. So when Tobias came in and he was married, they already had the grave digger go and dig that hole up, y'all, because he's going to be dead too. And when they looked in and saw both of them sleeping, but the righteous angel told them how to get rid of that demon that was killing all this woman's husbands. Strangle them before they get started. While they smiling, undressing, and think it's gonna be some action. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It was over. Number 5. Number 6. Y'all get into that book of Tobit if y'all don't think it's real. Tobit in the Apocrypha. Yeah. Where we at, brother?
In verse 27. And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law.
If it do what?
If it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law.
So it's saying if by nature you're born uncircumcised, if you keep the law, that ain't counted. Abraham kept the law and circumcised himself at 90. So y'all have to think 90 years went by and he's keeping the law. Do any of that count since he wasn't circumcised?
Yes.
Absolutely it count. Absolutely it count. So it's giving you example. It's saying versus somebody that got circumcised 8 days after they was born and been breaking every law since then. Just trying to rock his circumcision. Boasting on it. But breaking every law, and here you got somebody that's uncircumcised. So we in the spirit, this tells us that we can't, this is another form of not having respect to person. If you got somebody outside the law, not the keepers of the law, and they keeping the law better than you, does that count? Or do you say, y'all wasting y'all time? Every other nation except Israel, you trying to serve the law, you wasting your time. What is written there? Do it count for them? Yeah, it count for them. Let's read some more.
Verse 28.
What it say?
For he is not a Jew, which is one outward.
Right.
Neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh.
See, so just because you've been circumcised don't make you an Israelite in the heart. It don't make you that an Israelite truly. Why Jacob was blessed and his name was changed to Israel is because they had it right here. They believed. Then they got marked. You have to believe it first. You just can't get marked and don't believe. That's just like getting branded in them Greek fraternities and different things. Go ahead, brother.
But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart.
Is that of the what?
Is that of the heart. In the spirit.
In the what?
In the spirit. And not in the letter.
Right.
Whose praise is not of men, but of Yah.
See, the letter gonna make you praise me. And what I mean by that, because it was only given us, the letter of the law, so to speak, to re-educate us. After coming out of 400 years of bondage. It was worse in Egypt than it is now, y'all. Way worse. I'm talking about like that baby right there. If a man went out to the field, didn't get his quota, I hear he got 2 short-leggers, go get them. They will put them in the place of the bricks that he needed to supposed to have been, as he building them Pithom and Ramses, they would have to be taking the place of that.
Built into the wall.
Built into the wall.
Like it was that serious?
It was that serious. Look, 0 cents an hour too. Better have your quota. Come in here short. Better not come in here short. We talking tough. What you would have did back then. Okay. No, he said he brought on the worst of the heathen. The mentality of we don't care who you are. We don't care who you belong to. You've been giving us to do anything we want to do with you. And not the truth. Go ahead, brother.
That's it.
But hit that verse 3 and 1, y'all. We're going to move on. This is just then because everybody's saying they'll run to this. The so-called Christianity believers or those who don't really understand the promise given to Abraham. They'll stop right there and say he's a Jew inwardly. So they're saying, y'all being Israelites don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. So Paul then asked the question, well, if it's like that then, and the law is equal to everybody, then what advantage does calling ourselves Israelites then? Why was the decision made with Jacob? What we going through the 12 tribes? What's all this? What's the Revelation 7 from 144,000 out of each tribe, 12,000 out of each tribe? Make up the 144,000. What about that? What does that mean? Hit this 3 and 1 of this one. Go ahead.
3 and 1 through 4.
Yeah.
1 through 4.
Yeah.
Romans 3, verse 1.
What it say?
What advantage then have the Jew?
That's the question. If it don't matter, if something don't matter, what advantage then have the Jew? What is the advantage of us keeping the law, statutes, and judgment? What's the advantage then? Go ahead, brother.
Or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way.
See, now they asking the question, what profit of us even get circumcised then? If the uncircumcised getting away with it, why we have to get circumcised? What is the profit of circumcised? What does it say, bro?
Much every way. chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of Yah.
You see that chiefly because God picked all the families on earth. He said, y'all go tell everybody else. Y'all break it off to everybody else. That still don't make us look at somebody else and boast about it and we breaking what we trying to teach. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 3. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. Yea, let God be true, let every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightst be justified in thy sayings, and mightst overcome when thou art judged.
You can hold it right there. So you see right there, just from Sister one question, we had to get into that to get it understood. If you think nobody didn't have this opportunity, everybody had an opportunity to hear this word. It was designed for that. Especially if Israel, it's in your DNA. It's going to come across just like we finding out about the slave ships. They had a full understanding on why they were being loaded on. Go ahead, sis.
I got a question about the slave masters. Now, I know you were saying they did all sorts of things to us. Unlawful and illegal and ungodly. Now, what does the scripture say about them?
Well, I mean, they'll be judged because the scripture say they further the affliction. So basically, he told, look, this is what y'all do. Y'all get them. They're going to work for y'all. 0 cent out, they're going to do this. But it's like what he told Satan in the book of Job, when he told him, when he come in, he said, look, if you let me have them, if you take that hedge around me, and the Most High said, you can't touch their soul, though. You can't pass that point. You can't afflict them that way. You have to put stuff in their way that makes them choose right or wrong because they're not robots. So Satan is never, he's the accuser of our brethren. So when you say the devil made me do it, you have to be careful because you can't even lie on the devil. That would be a lie. The devil don't make you do nothing. He do just like that show come on every Monday night. When they ready to break somebody down, he get right in their face. Tell me, what is it you really want? And he looking you in the eyes and they just get weak. I always wanted to be a Girl Scout. Wait a minute. You're the chief of police. See, what he do to you is pull out of you what liquor do the same thing. Don't a drunk body speak a sober mind? Yeah. You have to put guards on that arm at the family reunion. Watch it. You get caught up in a domino game, there he is. What's the commotion? Junior done told Earl Billy ain't his real dad. Damn, who was watching it? Who was watching it? And here he got the bottle, flipping it up. Yeah, he gonna find out sometime any damn way. Whole family union room. So you can't lie on the devil, y'all. The devil ain't made you do nothing. The bait car, that show y'all see, did they make you get in that car? No. Did the person that parked it say, ain't one of y'all hanging out around this liquor store, don't get in this car, watch, I'm coming back with the police, all y'all get locked up? Is that said on the show? No. The car's running, they walk around it 3 times, they look in it, look around. And then he jump in and take off. Pick up his partner, they in. Then as soon as they see the light, what comes out of their mouth next? The lie. Man, we don't say it's your auntie car, and you know you just got it. I ain't got no driver's license. You got I ain't got no driver's license either. Okay, we'll just say this. And they listening to all of that. They didn't make them get it. Is it wrong for them to put that there? Just like put drugs in our neighborhood? Yeah, it's wrong. Is it wrong for abortion clinics to be on every corner in the neighborhood? Yeah, it's wrong. But guess what? If you marry and you have a baby, you don't go to the abortion clinic unless the doctor tell your wife that the baby is gonna kill the mama or the baby. One of them gonna die. Right. But that's for bad behavior. What you think the morning after pill for? It's the morning after. When conception hit, it's instant. It's instant. Let's read some more. Where we at? Oh, we're going on back to the script now. All right, y'all. So we left off the right hand of Yah, because some is thinking we preaching the Trinity when we talking about the power of the Most High and what's around the throne. They'll try to show scriptures like they're saying how they get around the Genesis 1:26, let us make man. They say that was God talking to himself. He counsels himself on occasion.
My daddy said that.
So look, that's their way out of it. He counsels himself. What do we call that around here if somebody's talking to themselves? It's a hospital on Dearborn Union for that type of behavior. Let's read that Genesis 1:26, y'all, then we're going to move into the scriptures I had y'all to look up, because I just want y'all to see how the madness it is and where they come back and say, this proves he was talking to himself. Just hit that Genesis 1:26 and then hit Genesis 1:27. And they're saying because God ended up saying, and God made a man. That lets us know that the us was really just him talking to himself. And we're just going to hit these two, y'all. We're going to move through this John 5th and 6th chapter, y'all, because it's very important of the power transferred to the Messiah. To be ruler of this earth and its heavenly reign. But he don't sit on the throne of his father. The throne of his father is an administration. Got elders up there. They got beasts that sit around the throne and praise him. And standing at the right hand of the Father like this is the Messiah, waiting on orders. Son, it's almost ready, don't worry. I ain't worried, Father. I ain't worried at all. And them saints ready to roar too. Let's get it, where we at? 1:26 of Genesis.
And Yah said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So the Most High created man in his own image. In the image of Yah created he him. Male and female created he them.
So the slickness of this is saying, verse 27 is saying, so God created man. So your us thing is going out the window. But God does create man because you have to give him the glory anyway. Right. Whatever we do, don't we say all praises to the Most High? Even though you did it, right? Man, this glory go to the Most High. He did this. So in essence, Moses, the writer, is saying the same thing. So God created man. It's his instruction. The orders was just carried out by the Messiah and the angel. It's carried out. He was the first creation of everything. And everything after that was created for him and by him. He was in on it. But it's still the glory go to God because he couldn't have done none of it if it hadn't been for the Father. Just like no matter what you accomplish, it don't matter if you didn't have breath in your body. You think you could walk across the graduation stage with no breath? You can if they roll you up there in a coffin and throw your certificate in the casket and roll you onto the back of the hearse. That's the only way. So y'all, that's one of them that they used to say, see, it was two, but then it came back down to the one, so that us, he was talking to himself after our image, after our likeness. Well, the Messiah's in the Most High's image, because he said, when you see me, you see the Father. So it's the same image Adam had. I mean, that's almost kindergarten level when you try to weasel out of this, right, because you don't want it to be two in heaven. It's still one God sitting on a throne and control everything, but that don't mean they ain't standing around the throne like this waiting on orders. Right. You think he get off his throne for what? He's the Most High. And do what? Come down here and be beat up by his creation? I'm gonna get y'all back. You wait and see. Wait the judgment, then I'm gonna get all y'all back. Not the Father. The Son, yeah. Where we at? That's good on that. Let's hit this Psalm 110, y'all. We're just gonna hit this and then we're gonna get right to this John 5th chapter, y'all, because this is the other one that they say that David was talking about Solomon. They don't have excuse for this double up here too either.
John 7:1.
John 8, yes, sir. Oh, yeah, yes, sir. Mark that down right after John 6, yes, sir, John 8:58. See, even though that angel in the bush, they doing the work of the Lord, they have to tell you. He tell us, if any angel come to you, I don't care, any human being, even if an angel come to you and preach not this gospel, he ain't from God. So would that angel technically be representing God if he telling the truth? Wouldn't he be telling the words of God? The truth. So he's not God in the sense, but he's from the Godhead. Just like Moses come off the mount glowing like angels do. Same exact situation. And they couldn't stand and look at him. They was like this. They're like, put a veil over your face. We can't look at you. It's like looking into God's face. Psalm 110, the first 6 verses. And y'all, once we get these two understood and you explain it, that'll get you out of them trying to say you are talking to Trinity. No, we talking to 3 the BRIT, the 1 John 5. That's what we talking. Now, if y'all change that and y'all want to call it Trinity, so be it. But what the record says, 3 that bear record. There's 3 on earth that bear record. The water, the blood, spirit. These 3 are one. They work as one. The Father and the Son work as one. Husband and wife, 2 separate, ain't they? But they do what? And then look, there's one preacher named Jennings or whatever it is. He believes in one God, but he believes in the Messiah. He just say the Messiah is the Father because he can't deal with the split scriptures. So he go to that Genesis 1:26 and 1:27, but he's not seeing in that, and he's hollering, then he go in this preaching mode and say, why did he make one? Why did he make Adam one? Because he's what? And they holler one. But 27, what his bailout scripture kills him because it says, so he created them male and what? Female. 2. To work one purpose. No courtroom can make a wife go against her husband because they one flesh. They can never come and say, if you don't testify, we are going to lock you up. They can't do it. Y'all know what they do. Throw them photos down. So you believe Earl is a good husband, do you? I want you to take a look at this in Simply Ladies strip joint. That's your Earl right there. And when he got a 2-fist grip on her breast area and smiling like the Joker, no good mother. The dope back there in the boys' room up under that racing car bed. That's the only way they can do it. They have to show you they keep the secrets from you too. Psalm 110. Yeah.
Oh, Psalm 110. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool.
This was a major problem for him. Everybody that teaches that this ain't talking about the Messiah, stop at this verse and go into a personal explanation. See, technically, the lowercase Lord was in an essence of David is talking to within himself. David get a room down on Delmar in Union if he's talking like this. To the crazy house. The Lord said to my Lord, sit thou on my right hand. Let's read some more.
The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thy enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. And the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of thy youth. The Lord hath sworn, and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord is thy right hand. The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore shall he lift up thy head.
So this same guy said that that Lord that David was talking to was King Solomon. That same 1,000 woman Solomon. That same Molech worshiping Solomon. And when was Solomon made a priest after the order of Melchizedek? Is that written anywhere? No, sir. I mean, the kingdom was forever. So, Solomon, that's who it is. You don't want to say the Lord because you fear the two that's up there at the throne. You can't fix your mouth to say that that was the Son of Man, standing at the right hand of the Father. Made a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. He's the high priest now. Rough on to deal with, they'll make up anybody. Solomon's kingdom was rendered from him, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So what enemies did he conquer? And your kingdom got took from you. That's when we had the split of the 12 tribes. 10 went north, 2 tribes stayed south in Jerusalem.
Civil war after Solomon.
Civil war. So how is this Solomon?
And then during Solomon's reign, it was peacetime.
It was peacetime. That's right. So you can't use Solomon. And then when does the ascending king call his son who ain't been crowned yet his Lord? What that says from Genesis to Revelation?
That's a change in the power or order.
That's a change of power or order. David was on his deathbed and Bathsheba was there. Now remember, you promised you was going to give it to Solomon. You remember David on his deathbed. And he hadn't made that decision yet. So he's writing this psalm and you think he's saying, I'm going to be calling Solomon Lord on my way out of here?
Acts chapter 2.
Yes, sir.
Acts chapter 2 and Psalm 16.
Y'all make sure y'all write them down. Second witness, third witness. What you got back there, L9?
And Solomon was a Judite.
Huh?
And he was a Judite too.
Yeah, I mean, that's good he was a Judite because he had to come out of there. But the bottom line is, does this fit Solomon? First, he would have to be made a priest after the order of Melchizedek. We just asked him, is that on record anywhere? In any documentation do we have that? Ruling from the priesthood of Melchizedek. And you got Zadok and his priest still standing. What they doing? Scratching?
Then on top of that, the order of Melchizedek is a priesthood forever.
That's right.
Solomon sinned in his old age and fell off his grace through worshiping these strange women and their idols and building, erecting temples and altars to these strange gods. So it couldn't be him.
That's right.
Who's that second scripture?
Acts chapter 2 and Psalm 16 will break down how David was saying that the Most High would leave his Holy One to see corruption, his soul in hell to see corruption. And then in Acts chapter 2, you'll see where they break down that David's sepulcher is amongst us today. So he's still buried. To this very day, his bones are still in the ground.
That's right.
However, the Most High, the Messiah, ascended to heaven. And he's the only one to ascend into heaven.
That's right, because that's where he
and come down.
John chapter 5, that's on you, Elijah.
John chapter 5. What verse you want to start at, brother?
Start verse 19. We're going to read on that.
Okay.
Y'all then again see if there's one person talking in two people. You know, it's almost sounding like you hear that one wrestler. Terry Jones, you know, what Terry Jones was talking about himself, though. They're like, tell us, Terry Jones, what's his name?
No, they said talking in third
Yeah, talking in third person. You know, they be like, tell us, so how did you accomplish that incredible feat? Oh, you know, when Terry Jones do something, he do it the way, they be like, well, that's you, ain't it? Yeah, you know, I'm talking about myself. They're saying in essence, That's the way the Most High write his word. Counseling himself. Like you have to talk, you talk to yourself when you're trying to convince yourself to keep going forward.
Right.
He's omnipotent. He got to remind himself of who he is. That's crazy talk. Now remember you God. Don't let that clay get out of control. Remember you God. Remember you God like we do when we in trouble. Talking to yourself. Stop. Stop. When a crazy thought goes through your head.
Yeah.
Stop it. What you thinking about that for?
Yeah.
Stop it. Get out of here, devil. So who else, if the Lord have to counsel himself, where's he getting bad counsel from? Because he controls Satan. Satan come and ask him questions. He give him a certain amount of rope to hang himself. What you want, man? Yeah, your servant Job. Oh, you after Job now, huh? That's a great servant. His shoes evil. Oh, he wouldn't do it if you didn't keep that hedge around him. He living fat off of you. Take that hedge from him and see what he do. Like, I do that, but you can't touch the soul. Don't play that game around here. You're not going to have that control of the soul. All souls are mine. So you see, the Most High still has a power that if you try to say what's going on with the Messiah, the Father is letting Satan have his way like that, then Satan would have won the war in heaven. He had to get at the Son of Man so that he can continue to rule in his wickedness if he could have made him fall. That was his whole job in Matthew 4. Took him up to the high mountain. I give you all these kingdoms. Guess who gave them to me? Your Father. Now, if Christ was the Father, he'd be like, man, I didn't give you them. I gave you that tavern over there in that alley. Gave you all the kingdom, America, France, Britain, Egypt. I gave you all them. So y'all have to understand when it's crazy talk, when they're trying to bail out of a situation that's right there staring them in the face and make you change. You have to look at this and say, I'm going to have to change the way I'm thinking about this. We ain't taking no glory from the Father. None whatsoever. We understand what he does and he gives orders. If that's the case, what Gabriel and Uriel keep showing up for? To do what if he can do it? Who came to Mary? What was his name? Michael came in the book of Daniel. When they say Michael, send him to handle some business. Send him to go get the body of Moses in the book of Jude. He told the devil, look, we ain't gonna get into this again. You know what happened before. Just get out the way, man. I come to get Moses' body. Didn't have to cuss him out. Just told him, you don't want no more of this. And Satan stepped back. All he wanted the body for was to be worshipped as an idol. Because they'd have dug it up, that's what they'd have done. It's the reason they dumped Bin Laden in the middle of the ocean at night. Go find him now and make a shrine to him. See if you can bring him back up. Where we at? 5:19.
John chapter 5, verse 19. Then answered Yahushua and said unto them,
right?
Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself.
He can do what?
Nothing of himself.
So how are we saying that he's the Father when we read these scriptures right here? Nothing of himself. I didn't make myself. That's all he said. I didn't make me. Go ahead, brother.
The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do.
But what he what?
Seeth the Father do.
Go ahead.
For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth. And he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel.
He gonna show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. He gonna show you his work he had before the world ever was. When he was standing next to the Father in his full glory. That's what you're gonna get a chance to see. We saw portions of that. But we ain't seen the power he had when he was standing at the right hand of the Father. We came nowhere close to seeing that. Because you're going to be worthy to see it at that point. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 20. No, verse 21. For as the Father raiseth up the dead and quickeneth them, even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. For the Father judgeth no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son, honoreth not the Father which hath sent him.
I don't know which other way you can make that language sound. Go ahead, Greg.
Right. What does it mean to quicken something?
Spirit, I mean instantaneous. The Spirit quickening, I mean like that.
An understanding.
An understanding.
It's like instant understanding of prophecies, dark sayings, parables, everything.
He's going to be like God, quick to answer everything. So without a shadow of a doubt, if you don't believe in him, you just got to hate, like he told the Pharisees. When John the Baptist came to him when he was in jail, he sent his boys. He said, go ask him. He didn't say, yeah, I'm him. He just told him, go tell him how I get down. Go tell him the blind see, the lame walk, the deaf hear. The dead are risen. Demons are told to get going. Go tell him that's what I did and let him make his decision on who I am. Go back and report that to John.
And everything he did it on the instant. Just like Peter says to be instant, in the season and out of season.
Right.
Prepare for answer always.
That's right.
That's why when every time the Pharisees and Sadducees, they always try to catch him in the most inconvenient times to question. But he always had an answer.
That's right.
And those who heard his voice were quickened in the spirit to follow likewise. So that understanding came upon them. That's the spirit of the Holy Ghost.
Just like what you said now, like for us to understand that a Mashiach and God are two different entities, for some people think it's one and the same.
Right. It is in working of power. Like this one body, if all of us did the same thing, if all of us spoke in tongues, ain't no miracles gonna be done, ain't no interpretation of tongues gonna be done, ain't no healings, ain't no prophecies gonna be sent out. All we gonna be is the Pentecostal church. Coming in the 100, coming in the 100, coming in the 100, coming in the 100, clove and down, clove and down, clove and down. What'd he say? What'd he say? Clove and down, clove and down. What'd she say? Coming in the 100, coming in the 100. I mean, what else you gonna say they saying? But repeat what they doing. What they interpreting?
Right.
They interpreted John Van Damme, an American karate artist. Is that what's gonna be broke down?
Right. Right. Coming in the 100.
I mean, but just chanting and don't nobody know what's saying, and they like fanning and the spirit is on. Saying what?
Right.
What understanding is being had? Paul tell you in the same book of tongues. I'd rather speak 5 words than you can understand than 10,000 you can't. Though I speak with tongues of angels, but if I speak, I should be like a sounding noise in the air. How they gonna know how to come to battle if don't nobody know the tune that's being sang? When you go to the baseball game and they say, da-da-da-da, when everybody hollers, you know the sound to the battle.
Right.
If they talking in tongues or they playing a different noise at the game, it's bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, you down 4-5, and bases loaded, and that music going and they stomping, or if they just start playing the flute, like Kenny G just came in and that ain't the George song.
Right.
Go ahead.
That's great.
Yeah, 21.
22.
You was at 24.
Verse 24. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life,
Right?
and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life.
Right?
Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of Yah, and they that hear it shall live.
So whose voice they gonna hear?
The Son of Yah.
Right?
For as the Father hath life in himself.
What does the Father have?
Life in himself.
See, the Father have life in himself. So there ain't nothing, unless you start doing that, you got to find a father for God. There's some groups out there want Adam to be from a physical birth so bad, they say Adam and Eve had parents. Who? Who? We got the writings. They secret though. I'm sure they are. Because everything go back and stop at Adam. And they say his father was God. The Son of God. That's what he's saying. So y'all saying the same thing we saying, but you want it to be physical. They don't want supernatural. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 25. 25.
Yeah, no, you did 26.
26. For as the Father hath life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself.
So what's the difference in this about the Son? Something's given to the Son. That's the difference, ain't it? So is he giving life back to himself? See, some of these things just don't make sense, but when you keep understanding it's all for the glory of the Most High. So when Messiah is giving it back to the Father, so when you see everything the Son is doing and then it says, so God worked these men, that don't mean it ain't no Son. That just means he's head and he's orchestrating everything. Everything goes through him. Nothing passes without him knowing it. Because he gives the orders and they carry them out. But just like you get a promotion at work, promotions are handed out. The son of the father happened to get the chief promotion. You run the company now. Does that mean the father go off to existence somewhere else and start something new? No, he just watch his creation go to work in a righteous manner. Because that's what the son gonna do when he get back. Hand out a righteous dictatorship. Either you get down or you lay down. Them the only choices you got for righteousness. You ain't gonna get a chance to get into wickedness because that's why we here where we at. Ain't gonna be no repeat performance of this. This the last go round. Go ahead, man, Lysa.
Verse 27. And hath given him authority to execute judgment also.
To execute what?
Judgment. Because he is the Son of Man. Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming, in the which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice, and shall come forth, they that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. I can of mine own self do nothing.
What did he say again? Read that.
I can of mine own self do nothing.
Go ahead, brother.
As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true.
Yo, see this? So we ain't saying that. They're actually saying everything that the Messiah is saying. He's saying it because he's basically the Father didn't put himself in flesh. He did put himself in flesh, but only his essence and his word was put in his first creation that was made flesh like us. At first he wasn't made in this flesh. He was made celestial. That's why he keeps saying, give me back the glory that I had. Celestial power. Not in this flesh. He could feel pain. But even in the spirit, he could feel pain because it grieved the Most High's heart that he had made man, that he had to destroy him. So the Father has feelings for us. Just like the Son, y'all, it's a compassion thing. That's why he constantly say, love your brother. Don't come to me, I don't want to do that. You get up off your knees. Have you made that right with your brother over there yet? And we're talking about your brother. We're not talking about just anybody you can have a squad with. Got into it with somebody at the movie theater about a parking spot. You what you gonna do? Go up to Creed Court looking for some white man you was arguing with? I just wanted to tell you, dog, you know, I had to make up with you, you know. We could have shared the parking spot. He ain't talking about that. He talking about a brother you know that's in the same fold with you, the same assembly. Y'all got beef, y'all need to straighten that out before you come to the altar talking about asking me for anything. Get that right. Y'all got to live together. Y'all can't live up here with me. Right. Y'all got to live down there. You can't bring that up here. What you gonna do, whisper to the Lord? Lord, I know you've been talking to yourself in that Genesis 1:20, but that nigga's in the kingdom. Crazy talk, y'all. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 32. There is another that beareth witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnesseth of me is true. Ye sent unto John, and he bare witness unto the truth. But I receive not testimony from man, but these things I say, that ye might be saved. He was a burning and a shining light, and ye were willing for a season to rejoice in his light. But I have greater witness than that of John, for the works which the Father hath given me to finish, the same works that I do, bear witness of me, that the Father hath sent me. And the Father himself, which hath sent me, hath borne witness of me. Ye have neither heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape. And ye have not his word abiding in you.
Now, if they're saying the Messiah is the Father, then you see his shape. You hear his voice, don't you? You hear his voice. But that's the Messiah's voice, speaking the words of his Father. He said, no man seen the Father at any time. No man. So who was that Moses saw in the burning bush? Who was that Moses saw when they talk about Exodus 33? You can see my back part, but you can't see my face. It said you didn't hear his voice nor seen his shape. Didn't it? Yeah. So what's a shape? And it's the figure of a man how he looks? It's a form. It's a form. He said, no time you didn't see this. Not once they say, excuse me, Messiah. Exodus 33. We saw the Father's shape. He told us we couldn't look him in the face. I seen the back of his head, though. I seen his shoulders. Can describe him to you, but it wasn't said, because that wasn't the Father either. That was the Son in his glory that Moses saw. Show me thy glory, Father. 1 Corinthians 11. Who's the glory of Christ? Who's the glory of the Father? Christ. Who's the glory of man? Who's the glory of woman? The man. So you see there's an order. But the glory is the offspring, or who you teaching, who you're the head of. Christ is the Father's glory. He represents him. It's where the world look and say, that's a righteous God. He represents his Father. And then we represent the Messiah. He's our head. Not saying the Father ain't our head, but to get to the Father, we got to go through the chain of command. So we have to go through him. You can't leapfrog him and go around him, because then the scriptures go void. And then man, the woman, is the glory of the man. She represents her husband. Ain't got to have on lockdown. Ain't got to call the secure bar center and lock up the doors and windows while you go to work. If you do, you got problems anyway. Especially got bobby pins in her hair. And lots of being ticked. Don't shop it in the West. He was like, man, I seen your wife the other day, man, out the gallery. She went out there and got bars on the windows and doors. I'll be special with y'all. So go ahead. But the woman is the glory of the man, and it works in that fashion. So Christ, every time you see in the glory of the Father, is talking about the Messiah representing him in his supernatural form and fleshly form. It didn't change. He ain't broke law in his supernatural status, and he didn't break law when he was in his fleshly status, did he? Is it one law anybody can point to that the Messiah broke? Still the same glory. Still that same glory of the Father. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 39. Search the scriptures.
Do what?
Search the scriptures.
Right.
For in them ye think ye have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that ye might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that ye have not the love of Yah in you. I am come in my Father's name.
In his Father's what?
Name. And ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive.
Boy, we'll call the Honorable Elijah this.
Right.
The Honorable that. My pastor giving all the head of my life, and my pastor, first pastor, and his wife. All of that honor. But none of it's going to the Messiah. The judge who's going to be sitting on that throne. He gets no honor. But everybody talk about everybody. Paul. But wait a minute, the Messiah's writing this in red. Paul said this over here, so you take this over the red writing? Well, all I know is just, you ain't gonna steal my glory. Ain't nothing to steal. Nothing to steal. No, it's like the Geraldo, when he opened up that vault, there wasn't nothing in it. Ain't nothing to steal. Go ahead.
Verse 44. How can ye believe, which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from Yah only? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had ye believed Moses, you would have believed me. For he wrote of me.
What did he do?
He wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words?
You can hold that. Let's get right into that 6th chapter. Start about, we're going to skip through that. I hope y'all read 1 through up to where we're going to get. Start at verse 41. 6 and 41, y'all. Y'all read verse 1 through 41 when you get a chance. But I want to get right to the heart of this for time's sake, because I want to get through a couple more of these clear ones of him sitting at the, standing and sitting at the right hand of the Father.
John chapter 6, verse 41.
Let me ask you this, y'all. Whenever y'all see Donald Trump or any president, what is the vice president doing?
Yeah.
What are you waiting on?
Orders.
Right. He bring him his book. He sign it. Need you go over to China and handle that business. When he get over there, he's coming in the name of the president. The head honcho. Everything he say, word is bond. I've been given authority to make all these decisions. No angel has been given that authority. The Messiah has been given that authority. No man has been given that authority. The Messiah has been given that authority. Worthy of the name, because he ain't never profaned it. Like we did in Genesis 36, Ezekiel 16 chapter. It say we profaned his name in Israel. And this for these holy name rollers. So in Israel, how did we profane his name? What was we called? Was half of Israel calling him Yeshua, Yahweh, and the other half saying Yahweh? What was the deal that got us thrown out? How do we profane if it's about how you pronounce a name?
Action.
Or did we go bad actions and profane his name?
Rogue nation.
Rogue nation. That's why Solomon couldn't be the son. Solomon had so many women and they in his earth, and you let her have a temple to her God. It's a Buddha statue right on there. What about me? Ah, she get to build builders. See what she wants. Next one come up. And my peeps, we down with Baal, and there's no altar since Elijah tore that one down when them 450 Baal priests got killed. I want something to build. See what she wants. And I'm not talking about building them somewhere else. They on the same ground as the Holy Temple. No disrespect to Solomon, but he's not the Messiah.
Right.
What you got, bro?
Who was the one that built that house going into Jerusalem?
One of his daughters, Moab, or
one of his wife.
I don't know. He had so many. Which one you gonna pick? It's 1,000. And y'all think about this. If the law say you wasn't clean in the evening after intercourse, can't have 2 a day. You have to at least wait till the sun go down. You have to have that time period in case something is transferring if you got multiple wives. You can't transfer it to the next wife. She may have a yeast infection. You got to at least wait. By the end of the day, the Messiah said, it's so quick, you ain't going to have to worry if I'm scratching. You're going to be scratching before the sun go down if there's something wrong. And that's just what I hear about brothers who had to go down on grain. Like that. Just what I heard, y'all. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
41.
Yeah.
The Jews then murmured at him, because he said, I am the bread which come down from heaven.
Right.
And they said, is not this Yahushua, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he said, I came down from heaven?
Now see, you have the non-messianics, or those that believe Joseph is the father, point to this. And what they're saying is not this. These are people that don't understand. If they don't understand he the Messiah, they ain't understanding spiritual things, so they ain't gonna understand earthly things. So they'll point to this foolish thinking and saying, see right there? Why would they say that then if they're called they crazy? They're answering questions with no understanding. How is he saying this? They murmur. That nigga saying it came from heaven. And this Joseph and Mary's son. But yet y'all was the same one that had Joseph ready to put her away privately because of the wedding ceremony situation. He finna put her away, and you same ones want us to believe that this is what we ought to go after. All of that red before that, and all this red coming after this, but they want you to focus on that one verse that an unlearned Pharisee would say. It's the same way they try to prove reincarnation when he asked Peter, who do men say I am? Some say you Jeremiah. Some say you John the Baptist. Wait a minute, John's 6 months older than me. I can't be him. Some say you Elijah. But he like, look man, time out for all of that. Who do you say I am? You're the son of the Father. He say, no flesh and blood told you this. The Spirit, my Father, told you these things. Upon this I'll build my church. Go and tell everybody. This ain't give Peter power over everybody on earth. That would make him the Messiah. He said, offer what you just said, because Spirit and truth. Go tell everybody that that's how we rock, and this is the foundation. That's the rock. Peter, Petra, that means small stone. No, it ain't the rock. So y'all, this is what he's saying, but they'll look at those scriptures like that was reincarnation, because Peter answered, some say you Jeremiah. Some say you John the Baptist. Some say you this. But he killed that thought process by saying, who do you say I am? And when he answered, and the answer he got, why are we still looking at what some say you are? Why we keep that in our focus over here? The same way over here the Pharisees saying, ain't this the son of Joseph and Mary? They saying that because they don't want him to be the son of man. I Our whole establishment is coming down now. We selling, we hoodwinking, we giving fake promises. We see a man sick on the Sabbath day and we walk right past him. Family hungry, it's the Sabbath. No, you won't eat today. Should have been fasting. Need to learn that. Stomach is fat anyway. Let's get some more, y'all.
Tiger is right.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Verse
43.
43. Yahushua therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not amongst yourselves.
See how he cleared that matter up? What's all this grumbling and fish lip-ism? See, murmuring make your lips tight and thin. So they look like fish lips. This nigga, sorry. Go ahead.
No man can come to me except the Father which has sent me draw him. And I will raise him up at the last day.
Right.
It is written in the prophet.
Where is written at?
In the prophet.
Uh-huh.
And they shall be all taught of Yah. Every man therefore that hath heard and hath learned of the Father cometh unto me. Not that any man hath seen the Father.
See, we hear this go again, ain't it? Right? Yep. It's again. So we have to ask those who believe that was the Father at the burning bush. The Messiah is saying this, so either, yo, this is an attack on the Messiah like we always been saying. That's what it is. It's an attack on the Messiah by all of those who say they believe in him and will call his name and say Jesus Christ or Yahushua. But truly, they don't believe this the Son of the Father. They don't believe he was standing there, like we said, before the world was created. Go ahead, brother.
46.
Okay.
Not that any man hath seen the Father, save he which is of Yah. He hath seen the Father. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. I am that bread of life.
Right.
Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead.
What are they?
Dead.
Uh-huh.
This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever.
How long?
Forever.
Uh-huh.
And the bread that I will give is my flesh.
What are you going to give?
My flesh.
Uh-huh.
Which I will give for the life of the world.
So, see, we got another problem with the way they try to explain that. They said, well, it's just the essence of God in flesh that couldn't come up. So, you have the spirit and truth and not flesh. Spiritual has a body. You can't use all of the scriptures that say, and I looked and I saw God sitting on his throne. How did you see invisible? Right. How do you see invisible? It had to be a shape or a form up there for you to even use that script to say, I looked up there and I saw you using that script, and then in the next breath, you'll say, ain't nobody ever seen the Father because we got to worship him in spirit and truth. For your liking, though, in the script you pull, you'll say, this guy seen one person sitting on the throne and not two. I'm waiting to see how that was accomplished then. Because right here, these scripts saying, ain't no man seen the Father. Not in his glory. Not to what we're going to see in Revelation 22. Ain't no man seen that. If they had seen that before this take place, they'd be dead. Because those were the rules. If you see the face of God, you're going to die. You cannot see him with this sinful flesh and corruptible flesh and look him in his face. And it ain't judgment day yet. And still live? Samson, their mama said that. I've seen God, I've seen him face to face. I know we're going to die, we're going to die. Her husband said, chill out, woman. We ain't going to die. If that was God, we've been dead. We wouldn't even be discussing death. We'd be dead.
How many of us in our carnal flesh can look at our parents in the face when we done wrong against their commandments?
Boy,
Can't even look at your own carnal flesh face when you've done wrong.
You try to be angry. Boy, didn't I tell you? This house ain't no whorehouse. I told you to have him out of this house before the sun came up. And the gal standing like this. But you trying to look rough for the gal. This side, your mama see, it's smooth. You got like this, but she see that. Your mama don't see that, she see this.
Boy, you so right. Boy, you so right.
Yo, get out of my house. Take her home, I see you when you come back.
But even your beasts won't even look at you when they done wrong.
Well, they sure won't like it.
Your beasts understand natural order of nature. And they don't even know the verbal commandments of the Most High, but they understand by nature of being a beast, under the submission of mankind, that even when they come in the house and know they have done wickedness, they won't even raise their head to you. Because my beasts always look down when they know they're in trouble. I don't have to say nothing.
That's where I got that from, telling my beast, who did that? Elijah hollered, who did that? That dog get down and like, and run right to the cave. Just over, who did that? Trash on the floor, who did that? Go ahead, Elijah. Where you at, verse what?
51. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. The Jews therefore strove amongst themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat?
So, if they can't figure this out, and then they want you to look at verse 42 as the answer for the Messiah was born by a human father. If they down here murmuring among themselves, they in a huddle like this. Man, how can he say he come down from heaven, man? What the? Man, you a lawyer, you ever heard anything like that? What about your granddaddy? Didn't he used to do some murder? Nothing like that, dog. That water he walked on was frozen. So, they huddling up, y'all. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 53. Then Yahweh said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you,
right?
Except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man, and drink his blood, ye have no life in you.
See, so when you say flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom, he's telling you flesh and blood right here of the Son of Man will give you everlasting life. So y'all, there's a distinct difference because he let you know y'all ate manna bread out there and all of them dead. Moses dead too. But when the true bread come down, I succeed that bread that came down to y'all because I was in on making that. I'm bigger than that bread. I'm the chef. Go ahead, bro.
54. Whoso eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood hath eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day.
Right.
For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood dwelleth in me, and I in him. As the living Father hath sent me, and I live by the Father, so he that eateth me, even he shall live by me. This is that bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna, and are dead. He that eateth of this bread shall live forever.
You can hold that, y'all, for time's sake, because I want to make sure we get to these other ones. Let's get right into some of those ones. Just Ephesians 1:20. We're going to hit a couple one-liners, y'all. And I just want to get these because all of these is saying at the right hand of the Father. Y'all, we're talking about an administration. We ain't taking no power from the Father and calling the Son of God by saying that, because he said y'all abide by all the rules. Psalm 82, y'all say y'all was gods. And I said y'all don't have no problem causing Moses. Exodus 7 chapter, he told Moses, I'm going to make you a God to them and to Israel. You're going to be a God instead. You're going to be God on earth for me. And ain't nobody questioning what the Father gave to Moses in Exodus 7 chapter. But the Messiah didn't do what Moses did when he struck that rock. Moses said, shall we give you water? and elevated himself before he was joined to the one flesh rule completely. And the reason it was like that, because he got angry when he did. The Father don't give you gifts angrily. So what would have happened when they got thirsty again? Don't ask him, don't ask him. You know, he got mad last time he struck that rock. So what you gonna do? Starve, or dehydrate out there now? Because Moses got mad? Moses paid a dear price for that. Son never took you being angry at him. He didn't care about how you felt. He just told you straightforward, like Nathan told David. And you can believe when Nathan told David that, David armsman up swords immediately and was going to put Nathan to death. And he probably had to do this. No, y'all, you ain't lying, I did it. I didn't know nobody saw it like that. Because he gave him the pearl. One man had many lambs, this one had one. This man took that one that this one man took. What would you do to that man, David? You know what I do, kill him. He like, it's you, David. Oh. Is it? Yeah, it's you. It's you. And immediately David said, I'm sorry. Didn't mean the punishment didn't go unwarranted, because we suffering from it this day. But he spared David's life at that time. So he's off the list of coming down from heaven. Go ahead, bro.
You want that Ephesians?
Yeah. Let's get that Ephesians 1:20. We're going to hit some Philippians 2 and 6. We're just going to roll through these one-liners, y'all. We're going to end up with this Ezekiel 4:4, because I want to wrap it up with this.
You got that Psalm 18 on your...
Yeah, we're going to put that back home. We hit them last week, but we'll tighten it up with it. It'll bring you full circle, bro. No doubt about it. 1 through 5, right? Okay. No doubt. Y'all, we ain't going to be long. We got to make a couple announcements.
All right, we're in the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 20. It says just one line.
We just get the meat of it, yeah, where you think the meat is at, if you need to back it up.
Back it up to 18.
Okay.
In the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, we'll start at verse 18.
Ephesians, y'all, right after Galatians.
It says, the eyes of your understanding being enlightened.
Hold on, I hear a few more pages. Flip it. We'll let you get that. What's up, boo?
Everybody there? You good? The book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 18. The eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling, and what the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power to usward who believe, according to the working of his mighty power, which he wrought in Hamashiach, when he raised him from the dead,
right,
and set him at his own right hand in the heavenly place.
So is Paul talking about one individual in the second mindset, or is he just clearly saying the Father did everything through the Messiah?
What you said.
Now look, Paul on the road to Damascus knew the law. He was believing in one God, which we all should believe in, the Father. But he was kicking against the Son of God. The Father didn't question him on the road to Damascus. That was the Messiah. So that's why he preaching like he's doing. That's why it seemed like he's going against the law. He telling me, look, I'm magna cum laude law. Y'all know I was killing people for the law. But I was blinded on the way. I didn't have no inheritance coming. And I come back to straighten that out. Either Paul was totally misunderstanding how he was raised, and he's re-raising his understanding now from the same old way, that is still one and not no son. It's just the son, the father just transferred himself into his son. Or Paul got a revelation here that this is way bigger than I thought it was. Y'all, and it's the same war that's out here that's been going on since the dawn of time. Satan didn't want it. I mean, that's what the war was in heaven about. This what it's about on planet Earth. This is what it's about with every organization out here. The Son of Man. Do you believe in him? Do you believe he came from the Father? This is the whole argument. Do you believe he was supernatural before his fleshly birth? You can believe in the Messiah, but if you believe Joseph is his father, you believing in a blemished lamb. Because how Mary, it says Joseph was going to put her away. For what? Because they did what? They had intercourse before the public marriage ceremony. Well, the law say just make sure you have a ceremony. Invite some extras. But he's not going to put her away. He's a just man and know the law. He know the law. He was putting her away because he said, that ain't my baby. That's the conversation between him and the angel. Who that baby dad?
Another thing they don't never ask, the question is about why was it a lot casted and it fell upon Joseph in the first place? Why did they have to cast a lot?
Ain't read them, I ain't gonna try to say it, pseudo-figure of James. The book of James, y'all did the Proviangelion. Angelion, y'all look it up, of James. Read the 10th chapter. You'll see day-to-day eyewitness account what lies are speaking about, what Joseph was saying. The whole 9 yards. He was out building houses. And he came back. He now, wait a minute. I've been going for 6 months and you 4 months pregnant.
Same thing happened to me that happened to Adam.
Same thing. That's what he stated. It exactly as it happened to Adam, it has happened to me.
But not only that, there were lots casted to see who would be the husband of Mary.
Right.
She didn't just have a husband and no young brother just walk up and say, I want to be her husband. There was a lot cast. There was like a lottery set up to see who would be her husband. And Joseph was 70 years old.
That's right.
He was beyond the age of just lusting after flesh. So why was this old man chosen for this 16-year-old woman? Because in the beginning, he was beyond lusting for her so that the Messiah would be born under a virgin flesh.
That's right.
And it says after she gave birth to the Messiah, then she knew her husband.
Right. But not until then.
It was after that they began to have children after the virgin birth. But he wasn't lusting for her. He was out minding his business, doing his occupation.
Go ahead, back there, G.
So in that book that y'all was saying, the student apocryphal.
Proviangelion of James, 10th chapter.
You said Joseph compared his ordeal
to Adam.
To Adam.
See, because Adam wasn't there either. If Adam was right there when the devil was seducing Eve, I know the writings look like he was right there, then we got the biggest sucker in history. I'm talking about you standing right there and another individual macking to your woman.
Right.
Yeah, baby, you see here. Tell me what you really want.
Then it's hard to call him a snake if he's committing his crime right in your face. Then who's the real snake?
Right.
Sucker.
Right.
Sucker.
I mean, but you even more of a snake because you allowing your rib to be cast out by someone that ain't, that's not of the righteous order. You see what I'm saying? So Adam was off doing his job under commandment of the Most High, naming animals and things of this nature. A snake ain't gonna holler at your woman while you right there.
No way.
He gonna wait till you gone.
Y'all know the club.
And then he gonna sneak and do his deed. Otherwise, he ain't sneaking.
Right. How you gonna accuse him and you standing right there? I mean, he just standing there talking, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna have my way with it and you'll agree with it. And then I'm gonna do this to her and then what man gonna be standing there listening to that like that?
Okay, I'm gonna sit here and play with my animals.
No, he did the same thing that happened at a club when you go to the bathroom and your woman sitting there and ain't no drink on the table. He like, this my chance. Here he come with, I see you drinking bottled water. Grey Goose and cranberry, I've been watching you. See you like that. It's much better than water. Then he come back and he slid off. Where you get that drink from?
Nobody.
Smooth gentleman brought it. A real gentleman. Water wasn't good enough. Now y'all over there all in the table, you know, they get louder than the music. They let you slide and they stuff. Then y'all gotta leave the club. Oh, he's smiling. She'll be back in his solo next week. Y'all know how it goes. Slick Willie, we call him. Let's get it. Where we at?
We're at verse 21.
Yeah.
Says far above.
Hold on. Something. LC, what you at? LC, what you at?
What was the name of that book in the chapter?
The Proevangelion, how it sounds, of James, 10th chapter.
10th chapter?
Yes. Y'all read it 1 through 10. There's a lot of them chapters, only 2 and 3 verses. But y'all read from 1, it's going to tell you that she was from the tribe of Judah. Mary was, her parents, righteous people, they gave Mary to the temple, the priest. They said, because she's reaching her flower, we can't let her be in the temple. So they said, well, we can't just, send her back to her father's house because her father and them gave her to us. So we got to put her in the protective hands, but we can't put her in the hands of a young man, because y'all know what's up with that. He ain't gonna let the wedding ceremony be right. He gonna get at her. And Joseph had a problem. Joseph was like, I'm gonna be a laughing stock of Israel. Me walking with this young tender, they gonna be laughing. They gonna be thinking, what he doing with him?
Oh, sugar daddy.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's all it could have been, right? And he old, it ain't like he had a whole stash of money. I mean, the best he could have been is a sweet and low daddy. Sugar daddy, he didn't have it like that.
No, he was a farmer. Working for a living.
Where we at, bro? Let's get it.
We're in the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 21. Far above all principality and power and might and dominion and every name that is named, not only in this world,
right,
but also in that which is to come,
right,
and have put all things under his feet, and gave him to be the head over all things to the church, which is his body, the fullness of him that filleth all in all.
So this is the Father saying, as far above every principality he's raised him, both in heaven and earth except himself. But all he's doing is putting him back where he was, the firstborn of every creation, and in on the creation of everything after himself. Where we at next?
On to Philippians.
Philippians 2 and 6. Yeah, we got but a couple more, y'all.
Start that at 5.
Okay, brother.
Just a couple pages over. We're in the book of Philippians, chapter 2. We're going to start that about verse 5.
Don't start at 1, brother. Pretty important.
We're going to start that at
Yeah,
verse
because
5.
what we're talking about is the one mind with multiple individuals. Yo, we all one in here, but we got to speak the same gospel. I don't care when y'all go out somewhere, they be like, y'all from down there at the serious business. That should be for any one of us because that's the gospel you practice. If down here you start quoting stuff off the internet, it's going to be a problem. Why ain't you with them down there? So y'all in like manner, because we can't control everything out there, we send our word to the assembly and we ask the assembly, if it's something wrong we teaching, do this. Ain't no, you gonna be demoted to trash man. Ain't none of that. You dare question those sitting at the table. Toilet duty. And that includes wiping. You just be sitting in there and all year. And you got to get up and go in there. That's how they do them down there. When you raise your hand down here, we got to make sure you on the same page. So if we hear your teaching, we be like, what did he say? And he got that from us? No, so y'all, all y'all have to do, y'all see everybody down here, you see somebody around us you ain't seen and they're around us, and they say something different, just ask, is that what they teach down there? Because that's what's online as an assembly. That's what we do like this. Everybody we do this, don't we? Raise your hand if we go in this route. It ain't good. Well, I've decided after some deep discussions with Brother Ariel and Elijah was called in on it and Joe Nathan backed us up. We decided that the assembly will go this way. Some of you will be murmuring, but you'll be put to duty if you murmur. You won't eat at the big table, you'll eat at the little tight table. Try us if you want to. Ain't none of that happening now, heard? We one body, y'all, we brother and sister. Where we at?
We're in the book of Philippians. Chapter 2, verse 1.
What it say?
If there be therefore any consolation in the Mashiach,
right?
If any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowls and mercies, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded.
That we be what?
That ye be like-minded. Having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind.
Yo, how can that happen with a bunch of people? How can we be one mind? We gotta talk and walk and say the same things, don't we? It can't go left field nowhere. It has to be the same talk, and then they know you of the same body. Somebody hear that out there? What? My brother. No, that ain't my brother you talking about. Yeah, it is, dog. He's saying his uncle is the Messiah. And he with us. Yeah, say that's what y'all teach. Oh, we need to get him on the phone right now. That's immediately how it should be. But other than that, y'all, we can't just keep going over everything that pops up off of their Facebook and different things. Just type in there. This don't seem like what y'all teach at y'all assembly. Tell us how you teaching differently. You using different language. Don't sound like that serious building language. Not saying that the serious building language ain't the same in Atlanta, it ain't the same overseas. What we talk about is the same gospel. Taught at the serious building, that's taught over here, that's taught over there. When it's different in-house, that's a problem, ain't it? You can't be in your parents' house and everybody got their own rules.
It's a house divided, won't
stay. It's a house divided, won't stay. Let's get it right. Ariel.
Verse 3. Let nothing be done through strife or vain glory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves.
See, that take that hierarchy and rank giving out off the picture. It take it all away. Lowliness of mind and esteeming your brother better than yourself. The Messiah washed the disciples' feet. What you look like jumping up when some Negro come in here with some bootsy collar boots on, calling himself the general? You stand up quick, general on deck. But some of our brothers are doing these things because they don't understand the hierarchy that these people are leapfrogging their head and want to become the Messiah. The Messiah didn't ask us to do that. Where is it written that we ever did that? He said, let your servants be your masters. And he was a perfect example of that. Pull y'all shoes off, I need to wash y'all feet. Peter said, Lord, my hands and my head too, just wash me all over. He said, I ain't got to, just your feet, because we're bringing in Melchizedek, the order of hospitality, like Abraham did. First time you show up his house, pull your son, because it was dusty, y'all. They didn't have paved roads then. You've been walking, everybody didn't have a car, it was walking a lot. So by the time you got where you going, feet was dusty. First thing they do is relieve those dusty feet. Wipe your feet off. Hospitality, come on in. Hey, get something to eat, y'all. We got company.
It's just like Southern hospitality. They say, come on in and rest your feet.
Rest your what?
Rest your feet.
That's what they do.
Get you something to eat.
Rest your feet. You look weary. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 4.
What it say?
Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Hamashiach Yeshua, who being in the form of Yah.
Being in the form of who?
Being in the form of Yah.
Right.
Thought it not robbery to be equal with Yah.
See, it wasn't no hijacking of the throne. Lucifer tried that. The Messiah ain't hijacking the throne. He's following orders. But this is Paul, that same Paul, saying he thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Because it's not robbery to be part of the Godhead where everybody thinks one. That makes us equal, not in the sense that we're equal with God and saying that we can tell him what to do. We ain't gonna never be able to do them. Like you'll never be, your parents' birth certificate, y'all, the dates ain't gonna never come together. Ain't gonna have the same dates on your birth certificate. That ain't gonna never happen. So in like manner, the Messiah, when he's saying this, he knows he ain't gonna never take the place of the Father. He's saying that, but to call me God, y'all do that amongst yourselves. Y'all do it, you hear it on a rap song and there you go. What's up, my God? Who do that, 5%? Everybody calling everybody God, but when it comes down to the Messiah, it's a problem. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 7. But made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant.
What did he take upon him?
The form of a servant.
Yeah.
And was made in the likeness of men. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself, and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Wherefore Yah also hath highly exalted him.
What has Yah done?
Highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Yeshua every knee should bow, of things in heaven, and things in earth, and things under the earth.
Right.
And that every tongue should confess that Yahushua HaMashiach is master, to the glory of Yah, the Father.
See, it's still saying the only way you can say this is if you acknowledge his Father gave him this power. You can't take it from him because his Father gave it to him. As much as y'all hate that, what we gonna do about it? That's like now the whole world hate it because we Israel. You think about it before you found out Israel. You didn't have no problem accepting who said they was the Jews, did you? You accepted, I don't care what behavior they did. Them the Jews though. Them God's chosen people. Didn't we think that way? No matter what wickedness they done, you were thinking that way about them. The only difference is the truth is out now. Either they accept it or they don't. That ain't our business to worry about. But if you don't accept it, you can't accept Christ because there's the chain of command. Like we read in Romans 3:1. We were given the adoption, the glory, and the whole nine. If it wasn't so, Cornelius would have went straight to the Messiah and he wouldn't have been sent to Peter. To get his direct learning. And an angel visited that situation. Look, we got a situation we need to straighten out. The angels didn't leapfrog law. Let's get some more.
Verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation.
Do what?
Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is Yah which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure.
Hold it right there. We're going to move on to these last few. We're going to hit, let's go hit this Acts 2:33. Y'all, we're going to one-line these on out. We just want to read them this time. Which come up, Booker?
Acts chapter 2, verse 23.
Start about 30.
33.
29, I'm sorry. 29, I'm sorry. Y'all read all the way up to that point.
Acts chapter 2, verse 29.
What it say?
Men and brethren, let me freely speak unto you as a patriarch David, that he is both dead and buried, and his sepulchre is with us unto this day.
So this is the apostles telling, look, let's discuss David. We can go to his grave right now and dig up his bones in there. Go ahead.
Therefore, being a prophet, and knowing that Yah has sworn with an oath to him, that of the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, he would raise up Christ to sit on his throne.
Right.
He, seeing this before, spake of resurrection of Christ, that his soul was not left in hell, neither his flesh did see corruption. This Yahweh Shah hath God raised up, whereof we all are witnesses. Therefore, being by the right hand of Yah exalted.
Being by the what?
Right hand of Yah. And having received the Abba, the promise, and have received of the Abba the promise of the Holy Ghost, he has shed forth this, which ye now see and hear. For David is not ascended into the heavens.
What did David did not do? Read that again.
For David is not ascended into the heavens. But he said himself, the Lord, the Master said to my Lord, sit thou on my right hand, until I make thy foes thy footstool. Therefore let the house of Israel know assuredly that Yah hath made that same Jesus whom ye have crucified, both Master and Messiah.
See, that's clear cut, ain't it? If you're thinking it's David, it ain't. We can get to his grave. Call up the city and have him deliver a backhoe out here. We'll dig this grave up, bones in there. But not the Messiah, because he never saw corruption. Neither was his bones broken. Let's get right to this next one. 1 Peter 3:21. Y'all, we got a couple more, y'all. We're going to be out of here. Got to make a couple quick announcements. And y'all, this the deal. When you're going to hear this talk of people thinking we talking Trinity, the first thing they're going to go to is scripture say, and I saw the Lord sitting on his throne. They're going to say, how many thrones?
Say it like that, brother.
Yeah, they say it like that. Holler it out. So I'm sitting on his throne. Not two thrones, but how many thrones? And they read me, yes, sir, my Lord. One throne. But they're not understanding. Yes, he sits on the throne. But he has his cabinet members, his assembly, the whole hierarchy of heaven, because everything done on earth is a mirror image of heaven. It's the blueprint. How you gonna have Moses and Aaron and all of the assemblies out here and the whole tabernacle set up? Where do you think they got them instructions from? It's Moses and Aaron. And then the congregation of Israel and the priests and everything, just the pattern they got from heaven. There's multiple people up there, whether they like it or not, but there's one chief supreme ruler called the Father, who has life within himself. And then he'll give life out to the Messiah to have life in himself, but he gave that power to the Messiah. So if he putting that type of power in him, how do you not call him God and you call a 5% of God? What up, God? God? I'm talking about a human being that's running from the IRS out of a tax situation. What up, God? IRS may be listening in. Yo, we got to be quit being so simple-minded with these things.
Right.
Where we at?
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 21. The like figure whereunto even baptism does also now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of good conscience towards Yahweh. by the resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach.
Hold on. Feel people catching up. We'll start that over.
Okay.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 21.
Yes, sir. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 21.
Okay, we'll back it up to 17. Let's just get at 17. Just read them couple, get your understanding of it. How we looking, y'all? We good? Okay, let's roll.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 17.
What it say?
For it's better, if the will of Yah be so, that ye suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing. For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to Yahweh, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of Yah waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was preparing, yes, wherein few, that is, 8 souls were saved by water.
How many souls?
8 souls were saved by water.
Right.
The like figure whereunto even baptism doth also now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of good conscience towards Yah by the resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach.
So you see how baptism changed to the power of the belief in the Messiah through the Father. Because everybody just getting water baptized and asking for forgiveness of their sins, you still could be doing that thinking of the Father only and not of the Son. So you still coming up with that same mindset, void of faith. Wet but void of faith.
That's what Philip was asking the
That's right.
Did you believe first?
Do you do what?
Believe first.
Before the baptism. None of this matter if you don't believe what we doing. And he said, here's a body of water. And you're like, okay, bro, long as you believe. You can't come up wet thinking the same thing. It's a waste of time, ain't it? So not saying that we ever say water baptism don't exist, because we do it. It's just the fact that there's a higher order. Water baptism without the fire and spirit and belief in the Messiah. Just wasting the time, because they were baptizing under the order of Aaron. John the Baptist did it. Acts 19 did it. You hear this same preacher, oh, you better get that water, and you better get that Holy Spirit and speak in tongues. But you can't go. And we just kind of asked, what about Acts 19? Because to start off, they said, we was baptized. He said, what baptism? The baptism of John, of repentance. We have not so much as heard of the Holy Spirit. Now this is years after the Messiah had ascended. So and he's like, no, he took them and baptized them in the name of the Father. So was water brought back on the scene, or did he just do what they did and laid hands on them, that form of baptism? That's the same thing Moses did to Joshua. He laid his hands on them and said, receive the Spirit. And all the wisdom transferred from Moses to Joshua. Wasn't no water there. No. Paul said the same thing. We went through, we got baptized in the Red Sea. Who got wet in the Red Sea? What story you read? It said they went over as it was dry ground. Right. Fish flopping around is dry ground, like concrete, and they walk right through the Red Sea. So baptism, you have to ask somebody right off the top, is it water immersion only? And watch what they say. No, I know where you're going. I know what you're trying to say. Well, if you know, the discussion should be short. We ain't got to go over a bunch of things then if you know where I'm going. The fact is, where I'm going, do you know about that place, and is it the truth or is it not? Well, you got some good points there, but what I'm saying, no, okay. Thief on the cross, was he baptized? Because the conversation he had with the other thief, no. We up here for stealing. So either they got baptized and came back up to their same old profession then, because that's what they was up there for, caught in the act. And the other one say, look, man, when you trust him, he can't save us. He up here with us. But he ain't did no wrong. He like, man, we through. We know we through. We know what we doing. And he turned and said, Lord, will you have mercy on me? He said, this day you're going to be in the kingdom. What was the water? Let's get some more. What we at?
That was
22, bro.
22.
We're just going down to
22. Yeah, 21.
yeah, let's go down to 22.
Okay. Who is gone into heaven
Finish that up. Yeah, just finish it up. Go ahead.
by the resurrection of Yahushua Mashiach, verse 22, who is gone into heaven and is on the right hand of Yah, angels and authorities and powers being made subject unto him. That was it.
See, y'all, so you see who been made subject unto him. And if you get back in that 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21 on down, you're going to see some very exciting information in there. Who did no sin. But yet these men will run after men that's recorded as doing sins that if it were according to the letter of the law, David would have died that day. Him and Bathsheba. That day, Solomon the same way would have died that day. Let's get these last two, y'all. Hit that Hebrews 1. Then we're going to hit this Hebrews 10 and 12, y'all. Then we're going to hit these last two. Revelation 4 and Ezekiel 28, y'all. We're going to close out. I think we finished last week on that Revelation 22. But we have to show y'all that if they come with scripture that's one sitting on the throne, we have no problem with that. Mike Pence and the orange pervert ain't sitting in the same seat as they. Scoot over. Scoot over. No, ain't no love seats on. In Hebrew?
First Hebrew.
Yeah. No, you like
Hebrews,
chapter 1, verse 1 through 4. 1 through 5, yeah. Let's get that. We'll move right back through 10, y'all. We'll get these last two. We'll close out. Need to make a couple quick announcements.
Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. Everybody there?
Let's get it.
You ready? You ready, sister? You there? Wait on you, sister.
Take your time, sis.
Pages are sticking together.
That's all right, sister. We wait on you. That's okay.
Quick as wait, just go to the index, y'all. It say Hebrews, page 952. Not in everybody, but in most indexes, they tell you exactly where we're going. So.
Closest to the end of the Bible.
Right at the type.
Yeah, that's it.
It was right before First Peter.
Let's get it, y'all.
All right. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1.
What it say?
Yahweh, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets,
Right.
hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son.
Is that hard to understand? And sundry times spoken to us by the Father. Now he's talking to us by the Son. Go ahead, bro.
Whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds.
Good stuff.
who being the brightness of his glory.
Of his what?
Glory.
Uh-huh.
And the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high.
Y'all see that? It ain't never saying that he's sitting down on the throne. There's a separation where he sits. He never, when he said it, didn't count him robbery to say he was equal, but you sit next to God, you got some juice. Because you in line, if anything was to get out of, who taking over? If something happened to this president, who taking over? You don't know he'll be voted in so quick, they'll put the covenant out there and he'll put his hand on it and say, I'm ready to rock and roll, I'm taking over. Ain't that what happened with Kennedy?
I was just going to say JFK, they swore me in on the airplane.
And his wife had to be standing right there, blood all over her clothes. It was instant.
Lyndon Baines Johnson.
They didn't wait a week or two. She's standing there in that same bloody outfit with his hand being put on the Bible. He's being sworn in to take over the duties. Go ahead, brother.
She had to immediately leave and bear witness to the changing of the power of the
yes,
Lord.
Sir.
Verse 4. Being made so much better than the angel, as he hath by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they.
By what?
Inheritance.
See, that he was an inheritor of this power that he got. It wasn't his own, it was given to him in writing. Sworn by the Father, you are a priest forever. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 2, he said he was appointed heir of
That's
all
right.
things. Verse 5. For unto which of the angels said he at any time, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. And again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son.
Right there. To which of the angels he ever said that to? They never said it to him. Let's get right into that Acts, Hebrews 10:12, y'all. We got just 3 more, y'all. Quick one-liners. We're gonna be out of here. Y'all think about that too. We had an open book test, and y'all like, man, my dog ate my homework. Because everybody's supposed to hit this up, wasn't it? What happened? So y'all see, this is why he said, I'm coming back like a thief in the night. Because if he did, you would never be prepared. Y'all, we wait till the last minute. The very last minute.
Like a pop quiz.
Just like a, yeah, and it's an open book test. You can't get no better than this.
But if you ain't study, open book ain't gonna help.
Sure ain't gonna help you.
You still ain't gonna know where to look.
It'll be like we saying, go to the book of Genesis and you in the middle. Nah, I ain't messing with you, Jim. I'm just saying. I ain't messing with you. I know it may have said that way, but I ain't messing with you, sis. Go ahead, brother.
Parents will be pissed if you fail an open book test.
If you fail an open book test, boy, it'd be trouble. Boy, how dumb can you get? Did they give you the book? Yeah, I had the book. Was the page in there with the information on it? Yeah, it was in there. How you fail an open book test? Just sitting in class. Daydreaming. Looking off, teaching. Earl, come up to the board. He's Then he got to walk with his hand in front of himself because he's been daydreaming. Walking bent over to the chalkboard. All right, let's get it, y'all. Go ahead.
What we want, 10 and what?
10 and 20.
10 and 12. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 12.
Tell you what, start with 9, Elijah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 9.
What is that?
Then said he, Lo, I come to do the will I come to do thy will, O Yah. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second, by the which will we all sanctify through the offering of the body of Yahushua HaMashiach once for all.
Right.
And every priest standeth daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins.
Right.
But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of Yahweh.
Where he sit down?
Right hand. From henceforth, expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified, whereof the Holy Ghost also is a witness to us. For after that he had said before.
We can hold up, y'all. Let's get to this last one line, y'all. We got to read these last few. Let's get right to, like you wanted that John 8:58.
Yeah, John 8:58.
Yeah, we're going to hit these last three, y'all. We'll be out of here.
Let's start at verse 54.
Okay. That's on you, Ariel. Too much longer, y'all. A couple more scripts. We need to drill this in because that doctrine is hot on the table out there. Lord ain't gonna give his glory to nobody else. They ain't understanding the glory process.
54.
Your children are your glory because it what comes after you represent being well taught. And what folks say, oh, he well behaved. Where do you think they get that from? They just doing it on their own, grew up on their own, and just well behaved by themselves and what they given instruction.
All right, we're in the book of John, chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 54.
What's that?
It says, Yeshua answered, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father.
It is who?
It is my Father that honoreth me, of whom ye say that he is your Elohim. Yet ye have not known him, but I know him. And if I should say, I know him not, I shall be a liar like unto you.
No.
But I know him and keep his saying. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. Then said the Jews unto him, thou art not yet 50 years old, and thou hast seen Abraham?
See how they looking at him and thinking this man is crazy. He ain't even 50. And he ain't seen Abraham. Look, Abraham to David is 14 generations. From David to the Messiah is 14 generations. He said there's 14 generations. If a generation is 40 years or the lifespan of a man 70, you at least got to do 40 times 28 generations. What's 40 times 28?
Mathematicians.
Some of y'all should have had troubleshooting like me and nerds. What is it?
1,020 years.
Oh, 1,020 years, y'all. So that's the difference in between that. They say you ain't even 50 and it's been this many generations from you. And that's on the low end of 40. If we did 70, it'd increase.
Well, 1120.
1120. That boy's paying attention in class. Right. Go ahead, where we at?
Verse 58. Yeshua said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you,
right,
before Abraham was, I am. Then took they up stones to cast at him, but Yeshua hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them.
See,
and so passed by.
So he moved quickly after that because they say, oh, we know he crazy now. Well, brick at this. No, he's saying he older than Abraham. He said, next he gonna say he know Moses. Give me a rock.
Because if you go back in the book of the Genesis, when he was the one that was talking to Abraham.
That's right.
When those two other angels went to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah.
That's what he's talking about. Because Abraham called him Lord and he washed his feet and bowed to him, and they communed and they broke bread and they discussed the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and the 5 cities that surrounded it. And they discussed them because Abraham lodged there, and his wives and children. Will you kill him if it's 50? He said if it's 50, that's a problem, y'all. 5 cities: Ferguson, Jennings, Florissant, Pine Lawn, and St. Louis, and it ain't 50 people righteous.
Not even 10.
Not even 10, like. Y'all see what's happening now? If you don't get it now and wait till the last minute, let's get some more. Where we at? I think that was it on that last one.
Yeah, that was it.
Y'all, let's hit this Revelation 4:4, y'all. Ezekiel 28, y'all, we'll close out. Y'all write down that Daniel 7 and 13 too. Definitely y'all need to check that out. Daniel 7:13, make sure y'all write down John 17:21 as well. Just give y'all them 2 this week for homework. Daniel 7:13 on down, you're going to see another bringing them to the right hand of the Father. This is the one, them non-messianics say that's the only one we got a problem with. Y'all got a problem with the Bible because it says different than what you teach. Your problem ain't with the Bible, your problem with you. That person you see in the mirror, it can't believe what it's seeing because it wants to believe something else. It wants to believe in a man like ourselves that sin like us. That's what it wants to believe and call them honor. Daniel 7:13 on down, and John 17:21. Y'all just read before or after that. But we getting right into Revelation 4:4 because y'all gonna hear it said. How many thrones did you see? One throne, my Lord. But you're not understanding the throne process. How many men Solomon have around his bed at night? 60 valiant swordsmen. That's just while he sleep, and that's just Solomon. 60 skilled swordsmen could pull it and hit your ear and you didn't even see it. You'd be like, wait a minute. Let me check this fader. Sounds like I ain't getting nothing on the right side. Ear gone. 60 of them to make sure he sleep in peace at night. Where we at? Revelation 4.
We're in the book of Revelation, chapter 4, verse 4. And round about the throne were 24 seats.
Round about the what?
The throne.
One throne. How many seats around that throne?
24.
Let's read.
And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold.
Right.
And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices, and there were 7 lamps. And there were 7 lamps. Let me see. I'm on my phone. My Revelations is out of my script. Hold on, I got it. I found it.
Yeah, that's some hard work in the scripts, then.
Yeah. And we at verse 5.
Right.
Yeah, these scripts in hand over here. And out of the throne proceed lightnings and thunderings and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which were the 7 spirits of Yah. Which are the 7 spirits of Yah.
Right.
And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal.
Right.
And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts, full of eyes before and behind.
And this is way before the second coming. This is John the Revelator seeing the second coming. Seeing what's up there and what's around, but if heaven come to earth, what he's seeing is already established. This is what I see when I look up there. And not only that, but it's beasts that's up there that's praising the Most High. That's how Adam knew what to name the beast and different things. That's a cow, that's a horse. He had his instructions from on high what to name every animal. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 7.
What it say?
And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the four beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Master Yah Almighty, which was and is to come. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down there. The 24 elders fall down before him that sat on the throne.
Right.
And worship him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Thou art worthy, O Master, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created.
Now, just hit a little bit of that 5 down to 5. This is very important. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5, 1. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within, and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof. And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon.
Right.
And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and read the book, neither to look thereon.
And now this in heaven. So he's looking at the book. Go ahead.
And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Yehudah, the root of David.
The what of David?
The root of David hath prevailed to open the book, and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Yah sent forth into all the earth.
So we see right here, the Lamb of Yah was in the midst. He said, I can open the book. But the Father just had the book like this. Who's worthy to see the judgments written? And no man in heaven or earth was able to open them. And he started to weep. Y'all ain't gonna see me in there then. But the Father just holding it like this. And then the Lamb took the book. That's why it's called the Lamb's Book of Life. If you found written in there, you will reign with him for 1,000 years. And then there's the final judgment where there's another book that's open. For all of everybody didn't make the 1,000-year millennial, now you be judged out of there. And when your turn next, step up. That'll be a problem, won't it? 2 flips. Boy, that's gonna be trouble. What you got in there?
Somebody said,
Right. What's say about?
It's crazy because, like you were saying earlier, in the class, they say ain't no law. If you joke about the judgment book, but they gonna be judged on it.
Absolutely. For what? What are you gonna say? Thou hast committed a bunch of crimes. If thou wast still under Aaron, thou would be dead. But since there's no more law, come on in and keep the party going. Got lunch with you? Sunflower seeds? Whiskey? What you got? Come on in. Y'all, let's go out in the kingdom. Ezekiel 28, y'all, this last one, we're gonna get on out of there.
Daniel,
Yes, sir.
when we just read in Revelation, are those the same beasts that's in Ezekiel 1 and 2?
That's, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you look at Ezekiel, Ezekiel saw the same thing. And I looked up when he said he saw the Most High. Actually, and that's where we should be going. Ezekiel 28 is talking about Lucifer when he was up there. When we'll hit this will be more right to the point of what we're talking about. Thank you, sir. You knew where I was going, didn't you? Yeah, start about verse 4. This is Ezekiel. Looking up 1 and 4. Thank you, sir. But you see the same thing that when Lucifer up there, they covered the mercy seat like this. That's what the Ark of the Covenant, when you see it, it got 2 angels with their wings like this covering the mercy seat. Where do you think he got that pattern from? That's still the throne of God. It's just the mercy seat part of the throne. So to make these scriptures not fit for the Messiah being on the right hand of the Father, they make it sound like it's ridiculous, but in the same breath telling you God counseling himself. No, don't you do it, God. You God. Or like the Lord gonna question himself. He's sure. Everywhere we look, it's sure. When you ask somebody, you sure, and they say, man, I'm telling you, I'm sure. You ain't gonna keep questioning that, are you? Why would the Father question himself on what he created? To prove it to who? You don't like what he's saying? All right, I tell you, how about this lightning bolt? Split your hair and parted where you're looking like most stooges across the top of the head. He ain't got to start counseling himself on your behalf. Just get Ezekiel 1 and 4. Y'all read 1 through 4 and y'all see that he was at the river of Tabar when the heavens were open. 1 through 4, we're going to get right to it so we can get on out of here, y'all. Go ahead, brother.
You want me to start at 1 or
start at verse 4?
Okay. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself.
Right.
And the brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber.
Right.
Out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man.
Right.
And every one had 4 faces.
Did y'all just read this? So we understand, we just read that Revelation 4 and 4, talking about these beasts, the 4 faces. So what we're seeing here, this is an Old Testament prophecy as well as the New. So it ain't like John seeing something after an event. This is Ezekiel seeing the same thing. Go ahead, bro, read some more.
Verse 6. And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet. And the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. And they separated like the color of burnished brass.
Right.
They sparkled. I'm sorry. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides. And they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not, but they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and the 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies.
You can hold that, Elijah, and all I want to do was just show y'all this parable of Ezekiel seeing his vision in heaven. So if somebody was to say, oh, that vision John was having is after everything already been established. He was looking after the fact. No, he's seeing the same thing. And when y'all read this whole thing, you're going to see about the elders too. And if you want to even get, y'all make sure y'all write this down. We went over it last week. 2nd Ezra, chapter 2, verse 42. Gonna say the same thing. I saw a tall man putting crowns on everybody's head. And it troubled me. I said, who is this putting crowns on people's head? They say it's the Son of God. And these have worthy, and they were given palms in their hands. The same thing, Revelation 6 and 9 say, y'all, the same exact language. You also write down this last thing we'll read, Sirach chapter 48 and 8 is just talking about this same Ezekiel, what he saw. It said, it was Ezekiel who saw the glorious vision, which was showed him upon the chariot of the cherubs. So when y'all seen Independence Day and Will Smith hit that beast that he pulled out of there and called himself knocking it out and dragging it back, y'all remember that scene when the spaceship crashed? See, they know what those beasts are that drive those ships, or what we call UFOs, different things. That's their job. That's what they are there for. They'll do things like that. So when he pulled that out, that's where the writer got that from, out of here. So he's seen the beast with them many different faces, but he done took control of it and dragged it like they go with one punch. See, that's how arrogant this mindset have become, sinful man, that you talk about their technology is so great and they're far above us, but you can hit them with one blow and knock out one of these that's sitting around the throne. So they have to make it look like it's an alien attack versus what we read right here. It's going to be an alien attack, all right, but that's anything foreign to the air we breathe and the way we live. It will be considered an alien. The Mexicans jumping over the border is called aliens, ain't it? So, no, and this is why they're saying they look like this. If you saw the movie that, what's the boy that cussed out them Jews that played, did the Passion of Christ?
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. He did one called Signs. And you'll see the beast that he was at war with, and they beat up a beast. Throw water on him, that killed him. See, it's like just telling this earth, y'all don't have to worry about they ain't gonna win. They ain't gonna win because, see, they don't know we got water. They ain't that smart yet, but they're intelligent that they can move between the speed of light, and if you move between the speed of light, you get into the next galaxy, so to speak. Because light is 187,000 miles a second is the speed of light. Sound 600 miles per hour, or Mach 1. You probably got some up there, the fighter jets Mach 3, so that's about 1,800, but we're talking about 187,000 miles a second is the speed of light. You get into that, you're into the next realm of the universe. That's what they're trying to do with the CERN machine, y'all. They're trying to get that and find that. They say it's almost to the speed of light. It's nearly there. Well, if it ain't, you're going to create monsters and open up holes and caverns that you shouldn't be, because, and everything that's coming out of India, y'all read the Daily Mail, all these babies born joined together, 5 heads, 6 elbows. I mean, just everything is coming out of there where that CERN machine is sitting. Where we at, y'all? That's it? Yeah, we went on hit that Ezekiel 1. That was actually the better one. Y'all read Revelation 22, which we read last week, where it says the Father and the Lamb shall be the temple of the throne. So it still gets back to 2, back to the way it was in Genesis. Revelation 22, the last chapter, ends the same way Genesis 1 and 26 is. Us is there. From the beginning of the book and the end of the book, it's still there. So when Christ say the volume of the book is written to me, it is. From Genesis 1:26 to Revelation 22 and 4 says the same exact thing, and everything else is in the middle of it.
That's why he's the first and the last.
That's right. He's not saying he's the Father. He just been there before our existence. And he's going to be there after. So why can't he call himself the first and the last along with the Father? He was there. Anybody got any questions or concerns before we close out? Got a couple of announcements to make. Good understanding. I hope y'all can say amen. Amen. Right, and for understanding again, y'all, it's on film, so y'all can go back and check it out.